100 players from 6 nations for 2 hours on one really big sofa. I'm your host, Steve McNeil, and this is the Pringles Battle Couch, the world's first 100-seater gaming sofa, brought to you by Pringles and PlayStation. Some facts: it's hand-built, it's fully sprung and upholstered in plush red chenille fabric. I know what you like. And the Battle Couch exists for one reason and one reason only. That is to bring gamers together from across Europe. We've got guys here today from Russia, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, and the UK. And they are all competing, of course, for the ultimate prize in esports. I'm talking about, guys, the incredible Golden Pringle. That's what's at stake. Yes, one whoop, absolutely correct. We've got other prizes as well, though if that's not enough for you, though it should be. We've also got this incredible collector's edition Tekken figurine. They're a beautiful piece of work. We've got 2 tickets to ESL 1 in Birmingham in May, and incredibly, we've got a VIP trip for 2 to E3 in LA worth over £15,000. If that's not enough for you, you also get a free supply of Pringles for an entire year. 52 cans, apparently. I hope that'll be enough. How does this work? Okay, we're going to play games. We've got 2 rounds of Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege. We're going to put these guys in 20 teams of 5 players each. They're going to go head-to-head simultaneously. So very quickly, we're going to get them down to 50. Then they're going to go again, and we'll have 25 remaining. But then there will be some Pringles-based mischief. Of the 25 who don't get through the second round, 7 of them will have the opportunity to get a Pringles pass. They're all going to pop a can of Pringles, and if they get one of those, they will get to go through to the final round. That is Tekken 7, brilliant Bandai Namco game, and eventually we'll go from 16 games to 8 to 4 to 2 to the final, and one person will be the first ever Pringles Battle Couch champion. Look, you're probably sick of my voice. I know I am, so I'm going to leave you in the hands of our able casters for now. But for now, grab your controllers and your Pringles. Let's do a gaming.
Oh, I thought Steve was just doing that in rehearsals. Welcome, everybody. My name is Panky, and I'm joined by Ketchup. And we're going to here to take you through all of our matches. I'm going to specialize on Rainbow Six Siege, and Ketchup is a Tekken expert who's going to show me a thing or two.
It's a little bit of a clash of universes, isn't it?
It is. It's if you're going to put a prize like this on the line, you're going to put 52 weeks worth of Pringles up there. You've got to test people's mettle. And to go from Rainbow Six Siege to Tekken 7, that's a pretty broad range of skill sets.
And this is going to be pretty quick fire as well. So many of these games, I mean, as you can see, the giant sofa that everyone's going to be sitting on, they're all going to be going on at exactly the same time. So we're going to start off trying to dwindle down to 50 players, and then 25. As Steve said, we're going to have that sort of interesting draw to see which players can get back into the action for our 32-man Tekken bracket. And then the whole thing is going to be cutthroat from start to finish. Only the most deserving player is going to win the amount of swag that lies at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and on to the cutthroat point too. We'll dive straight into our Rainbow Six Siege here to kick us off. And there are some interesting rules that are going to shake things up a little bit that your normal Rainbow Six viewer, your normal Rainbow Six player won't have experienced either. Each round here that we play is only going to be 2.5 minutes. So that's much quicker than normal Rainbow Six. It's a best of 3 rounds. It's not a full game. And the bomb timer, which it is bomb, is only 30 seconds. So if you get that plant down, it is a very strong hold position for you. So teams on their PlayStations are going to be looking to get in and quickly get those bombs planted.
And it's kind of funny you should say that, really, because when we jump ship over to Tekken 7, it's best of 1 game. So if anyone that's playing Tekken 7, you've been one and done online by some dude, you're actually going to have to deal with that right now. But that's actually interesting to me because it means that it's the quick game strats. It's maybe even the cheese strats. We're here to win. You know, we want to get that sort of golden prize. And Rainbow Six is where it kind of becomes interesting at the start because if there is 1 star player on a team, they might be able to carry. If you're having a bad game, tough luck, really, because if you're not really pulling your own weight, you only have 1 map to make a difference, or not, as the case might be.
Now, we do, of course, have 100 players total, but mixed in amongst our average Joes, as they are, we have a couple of influencers who are meant to be our gaming experts. So, of course, if they screw up, we'll single them out and point it out and see how they fare. But none of them are PlayStation aficionados, as far as I'm aware, either. There is a vast mix, even within the influencers and what they play and what games they focus on. But as far as I could tell, as far as we could all tell, there's multiple language classes here from across Europe and Russia and things as well, is that none of them are Rainbow Six or Tekken experts themselves. So we're throwing them in at the deep end too.
It's pretty interesting from where we are. I can see the Russian casters just opposite us all across. You guys can't see it at home, but there are different commentators from different parts of the world all over
monitors.
the place.
Put all 6
giant
streams
ones
up. Yeah, big monitors. if someone's got 6 monitors, I don't imagine they're going to be doing small ones. 6 big screens with each language cast.
Someone somewhere in the world just has like the supreme multi-twitch going on.
One guy tweets us and goes, "Here's my setup." Poof.
Are you jealous? The world's largest TV. So right now we're setting up the match. If anyone's wondering what the wait is about, with 100 players going on at once, we have to get a lot of lobbies made, and that has come with it many referees. You might be able to kind of spot them behind the couch as the show goes on. And here they are, lovely people. There's a generous amount of referees per portion of the couch.
I like
the word
how,
I'll use.
1, this man has a cone on his head, which is fantastic.
Yes.
2, I like how at the moment, everyone is hanging back. They're chilling out. They're leaning and being comfortable in what is ultimately, I've had to sit in it, a very comfortable couch. Cannot fault that for comfort levels. But once these games begin, I'm going to watch all the poses change as everyone leans forward and gets into their gaming ready stance to focus on Rainbow Six.
We were a bit nervous about the monitors at first because you guys wouldn't have seen this, but during our rehearsals and our practice sections, there was a gentleman with the tape measure making sure that every monitor was perfectly kind of spaced between each one so that not one person had more space or less. Once the matches begin, I wonder how much some of that might change. Because you said, right, look, they've got their sort of comfortable stances. There's going to be some nerves here too. You can't forget, this is not your traditional esports event, right? Not everyone here is going to be this seasoned tournament expert. So how nervous do you reckon any amount of percentage of these 100 people are feeling right now?
Oh, they're incredibly nervous. Even the ones that have done esports things before, even the ones that have been on stages before, got to be nervous. Because even in those tournaments, you might have a second chance. It might be a group stage or a double knockout or a double elim. These guys lose this first best of 3 rounds Rainbow Six, you're done. That's 50 people getting up of this sofa and not coming back. And they don't get a chance of being in with the Pringles magic and the Pringles pass. That's only the groups knocked out from the second round of Rainbow Six Siege. So they have that small, maybe second chance to get back in for Tekken, but the first 50 to go, they're done. So that's a lot of pressure.
Well, we've just been informed that we are moments away from loading up our first map. And
you can see people, look, headsets are going
they're
on.
starting to move forward.
Controllers being grabbed, and they are edging forward. They're getting there. We are getting really close.
So, I mean, if you were in this position, right, being, you're super into Rainbow Six, been with it for a long time, if you were in a best-of-1 situation, what would your strat be?
Given the different rule sets in here too, speed. Speed, I think, is the king, because you can't play your normal game. You don't have as much time the way you normally do. And as we said, not all of these players are particularly PlayStation proficient. I personally cannot use a controller to save my life. Wish I could, but I can't.
I don't have that problem.
But if you want to use, as you mentioned before, potentially cheese strats, best of 1 things, Siege can be very punishing to someone if you get in there before they know what's going on, before they can get their gadgets set up, before they can get themselves dug in and in position. Get in, get on top of them, and just straight shoot them quick. You could come out with that quick win, and as we said, with only 3 rounds to play, that may be what it's hit.
Well, for those that don't understand Rainbow Six, you're in for a bit of a treat as the gentleman to my side can sort of teach you a thing or two. I can hear in the background that we are loading in as we speak. So the setup phase, very important. It's kind of like what you said, though. Coordination is key. This is such a team-based game. If you're not doing your job right, you're hindering everyone else.
And we're playing on Border, which is a very even map with a lot of different possibilities for players to make their own path as big. Siege is a game which heavily revolves around destruction, and as a result, seeing who they pick here could be important. Now, our attacking roster only holds, if my brief glance was enough, only holds Hibana, so she's the only person that can get through reinforced walls. And as we see here, Pulse and Capcan are immediately putting some reinforcements up. So having only one person that can get you through those holes, or through those walls, sorry, will limit the attacker's opportunity to get inside.
Now, for those that wonder what's going on the screen, the numbers at the top, they correlate to the players in question. They are named as a number, seeing as there are 100 players today. I believe these are some of our French players.
We have, we have some of our French players in our currently attacking team. Hugues, Anko, Youssef, Zigoldarak, and La Femme de Cradouk.
I
sorry
struggled with that one as
some
well.
of those names.
I am pretty bad.
But they are actually facing off against some of our, I believe it's our Germans. Yeah. Laney, Robson, Tim, Tonic, Pixel, and Binjuice.
So what do you make of the setup so far?
There's a couple of key reinforcements that were lacking when I first looked away to read these names, but I think they've gone up now. Yeah, here, this wall is now sealed off. The attackers are going for a very direct approach in through this window, which could be potentially incredibly dangerous as they stack up around one window. And there is the spray down coming out from Battle Couch 32. He does down a teammate to begin with, but gets the first kill of the round, taking away that Hibana, so that's a hard breach gone. As they try and leap on through the windows to follow it up, another man falls as Buck is taken out, and he's taken no damage himself from this. They do lose one teammate on the defending side, but with only 3 attackers left up, they are up against a hard wall now.
It does feel to me like it was a bit of a brave play to see a teammate fall through the window and actually kind of continue to push. It almost felt like they've almost given up 2 frags unnecessarily.
Big flank comes in from IQ though too, so perhaps that distraction of diving through the window was maybe the right play. You're right in that it was risky, but it so far seems to be paying off. Smoke is nowhere near the bomb site, but he is in a duel of his own, and here comes the diffuser being planted. IQ starts to get that down. Remember, it's only 30-second timer once it's through, and he has Sophia here as backup, holding this one choke-pointed doorway. They need to be careful not to take each other down as they are kind of tripping over one another. But here comes the only close-by defender, and he's quickly picked off by Zofia, meaning it's all left on this one remaining smoke. He has an impact grenade, which will mean he can blow a hole in that wall if he wants to, but he seems to be unsure as to whether he wants to or not. He does walk straight in and spot both players, but is quickly picked off, and our French team take round number 1.
Little bit of a shaky start, walking into that window and getting taken out as quickly as they did, but they sort of quickly worked it around. And let's not forget, the best of 1 map, we could be 1 round away from this already being done. Madness! But here we are.
Now, that bomb site is supposedly defender friendly. Now, it didn't work out for those guys, but now that they have switched things over, things could all be different again. Now, the French team did take that first win, but can they defend as well? Let's see where they're looking to go, because as I said, it will change dramatically how they play things and where they shake things up. And this is a more standard bomb site if they chose to stick with this armory and archives upstairs. So this could be looking dangerously bad here for our German squad.
We're automatically seeing a pretty drastic change in operators as well. Each round being able to change that, I think, does change the strategy of Rainbow Six quite significantly. Every operator is very different in their own way. If you can't tell, I'm not really a Rainbow Six expert. That's what the guy next to me is for, but don't worry. Don't worry.
No. Our German attackers, they've only brought Maverick in terms of their hard breach, and he can make holes in it, you can shoot through them, but it's hard for him to make significant holes for people themselves to actually get through. It's possible, but it's not easy, and again, with only 2.5 minutes here compared to normal 3, even tougher, adding to the pressure of the speed at which he's got to go through. The French defense so far is looking far more standard into what I'm expecting from people defending this bomb site. It looks like some people in this French team have done this before.
Yeah, and if you're going into this tournament kind of knowing what games you're going to be playing, I think it would make sense that teams would sort of study a little bit beforehand. I think synergy is key for a game like this, absolutely. And it's kind of almost nice to see that they had a bit of a shaky start at the very beginning, but not only was the turnaround really good, but now if their defense is a bit more rock solid, this could be a 2-0.
It could be. They've got a couple of the standard pushes in sealed off and castled off, which will help funnel the attackers in one direction, or at least give them a big loud audio cue if the attackers try and come through that way. Standard attack start so far here for the Germans though, coming across from this south balcony through CCTV, through the eastern side, and you see Blackbeard over there on his own by where that frost doorway is. Could potentially add some pressure on his own from that side. Blackbeard, those of you that don't know, has a big ballistic shield on the front of his rifle, so when he holds it up to shoot, he can't get headshot back. So that makes him very strong in 1v1 situations and allows him to play a little bit more comfortably over there on his own.
Especially in this situation we're in, Rainbow Six Siege, if you get headshot, it's over, baby. Like, it's so easy to get taken out if the other guy has good aim. A little bit of a spray coming through right here from the Maverick.
Yeah, trying to blindly spray through the through that door is not a bad shout. You can obviously kill people through them. It is just a destructible door itself, and you don't know who's waiting on the other side unsuspecting. Now, though, he's trying to take a more direct fight that it's been open because he can see and he knows of the other players that are there, but he's up against 2 shotguns, so he does actually have, in theory, the advantage here, and a quick flashbang should help him out more, but he is on a very low health from the first few peeks.
A little bit of right in the bomb room here. Could see a bit of a sneak attack, but for now,
I think the Ash player is a little bit turned around. He breached this wall here. You can see it on the right here of the Maverick, but he's still taking fight towards this frost deep inside the armory and can't deal any significant damage, but the attackers are closing in. They have 45 seconds to go. Ash will walk through with one Capcan trap, which takes a low, but she's walking into the 2 shotguns again. Sprays go everywhere, and they go down for down as she steps into a trap. But meanwhile, an MP5 has picked up 1 more kill. Blackbeard with a team kill sets the Germans even further back, and he's actually the only player left on his feet now, as Maverick has been downed inside this fountain area.
And hearing that
pick him up.
It's such a risk, isn't it? Second you get trying to heal someone, you're vulnerable. Catches the surprise attack, but is not looking out for it and gets caught out himself. And, well, there we have it. You can hear the pop-offs in the background. I don't know if you guys at home can, but the players in this venue are feeling themselves, absolutely. And I would too, given the circumstances.
And that is that, as you say, 2-0 victory. The French team will advance and send home our first German contingent.
Just like that.
Just like that. And as you said, they have no chance of coming back in. Their time on the couch is finished. And, I mean, they've got a sting. But the French team have got to feel confident, especially going into their next round here on the battle couch. As mentioned, they do have to play another game of Siege, and they definitely look like a more cohesive squad.
You find yourself in a position later on in the tournament where, you know, if you're not as seasoned in a competitive environment, the second you kind of mentally think, well, hang on a minute, the next team we're going to face off against, they're winners too. So if they won, they're automatically, you would assume, be stronger than the team we just beat. How much stronger are they going to be? These players wouldn't have had a lot of time to study the rest of the competition. So playing this kind of event by ear does take a certain skill in itself. Before you've even played a single game, in-game, you've got to be able to sort of measure up the people you're against too, which is not easy to do.
No, but the players themselves, all this 100 players that they're hitting, have been here since about 2 p.m. They've been here for a little while. So there's no doubt there's been some mind games sizing each other up in the prep area and in the warm-up area.
We're all friends, but deep down we're
looking
in. I can see into your soul and I can sense the fear.
This was a great move here then from the IQ player, coming around the backside and really opened up that first map. This was a bit unlucky, to be fair, for Ash. It's an uncommon place to plant a frost charge and a frost mat, and that in some situations is the best places to plant frost mats because they surprise people. But it did ultimately put a stop to her push in. I liked the way the defense play, and I think it's a good play to go for the next round as well, is that with the 2.5 minutes on the clock, normally when you play Siege, you want to send a couple of people out, send a couple of roamers out, a couple of aggressive players to stop the attackers when they first approach the building, to slow them down, to burn some time off the clock and put pressure on them getting into the bomb site. The rounds are already shorter here. They're already 2.5 minutes. You don't have to do so long. And because these players aren't as confident and there's a lot on the line, they're playing nervously, they're burning a lot of that clock on their own. So the defenders kind of barricaded themselves, locked themselves into the bomb site itself. And then they know that when these attackers come their way, they already have a significant numbers advantage on the first 1 or 2 people come through that door. So then they fired focused all fire on those doorways and cut them down. And even if they lose 1 or 2 in the process, they've got so many other shots running that way that they were coming out on top with the trades. And I think that's a smart play.
So as of right now, we did just see a 2-0, but like we said at the start of the show, there are so many matches going on at the exact same time that we'll find out what's happening very, very soon. We know that we are going to be stepping into our next round soon, but if there are 2-1 situations and there are matches that are just going on for a little bit longer, I think that can kind of change things a little bit as well, because if you're a team that just 2-0 someone and you're eyeing up the rest of the competition that are still playing their matches, kind of almost gives you that advantage that you can kind of just absorb maybe a route they're taking or maybe a specific start if you can get in there quick enough during a planning phase. But I'd always say that the team that wins the fastest this early in a tournament, you kind of have that immediate outside of the game advantage too.
Normally, yes, because normally when these games are played, obviously sequentially, you can play your game, you can win quick, you can be keep yourself fresh, keep yourself up to date. You go back, you sit down, you watch the next game that gets played, and you soak all the information. But because they're all being played side by side here, just because you win 2-0 and someone else is going 2-1, you might not be able to see them. They might still be the other end of the couch. You might not be able to see how they're playing. Yeah, there's no green screen that you can watch the games on unless you're already out, so that's not going to help you. So having that, win quick, early advantage, then watch your opponents might not be there because you may not be able to see their game no matter what. If we do ever have a 2-0 victory, I say this as if it's going to happen now. If we had a 2-0 quick victory and some of the other games were taking longer, we would jump into those and keep the content flowing. But it seems that most of these games have been wrapping up very, very quickly. You can see our other casting combos around us too are chatting and waiting for the next game as well. But we do have an interview with one of our winning French players, and Steve has that over on the stage.
Thank you very much, guys. I am here with Sofian and Youssef from one of our 2 French teams. Guys, I've no idea what just happened because there's 20 games going on and I was watching about 6 of them on a monitor. So talk me through what happened first of all.
For the first game, we just do the strike and we just take the bomb super fast. We have good teamwork, I think. And for the second game, we just defend. We do some pressure on the wall, and I think that's because we just win simple and the team fight.
Yeah, beautiful. And you felt you were working well as a team? Because did you guys know each other before you came here?
No.
So this is the first time you guys work together. But is anybody not holding their own? Is anybody holding you back, or are you all good?
I don't think so. I think not everyone is familiar with the game. It's our first game for everyone. But we had a good synergy in the warm-ups. so we just opted for the good strategy, I think.
Yeah, well, obviously worked. You won the first 2 games. You didn't even need the third. That's wonderful. Are you more Tekken, or is this your game? Are you more ranked?
I'm more Tekken. More Tekken.
So you've won the harder one.
Siege before.
You've never played it before.
First time on Rainbow Six. No, yeah, for sure.
Same.
Really? All right. Well, if you're doing this well at this, and well, we're going to go again in a minute, so we'll find out. I've got a fun Pringles battle couch fact for you that I'm going to share. Apparently, it requires 550 meters of fabric, a hard-wearing chenille fabric, with interwoven grain, and I'm quoting here, it's pleasing on the eye and soft to touch. Would you agree with that statement? They're not sure. Yeah, he said yes. You're less convinced. Is it the eyes or the touch that you're not keen on? Both. All right. Never mind. Well, I like it. It's all right. It's long. Look, we're going to let these guys get ready. You're going to be going head-to-head again, and hopefully, if you do as well next time, you're going to be through to Tekken, which you're even better at.
Hopefully, go to the Tekken tournament.
Well, we'll find out. Well,
The trip to LA.
yeah, well, it's worth £15,000. Yeah, they're delighted. Well, don't get too confident too early. There's a lot more games to play. But I'll leave you guys to get ready. For the 50 of you who, I'm afraid 50 of you are technically losers. No offence, that's games. But please do ceremoniously vacate the battle couch. And for the rest of you, start to get ready, because we're going to do that all over again in a minute.
There is quite a few empty seats now as the names run along the bottom. We've also lost a few of our influencers already.
I must say, Steve, try not to make him feel too bad.
Gone.
What?
One of our UK guys. I missed the other one that was further up in the list.
So we were just talking about Valkyrie as one of the more sort of familiar influencers on the list today. Just like that, the main man is gone and out of the tournament. Granted, I hadn't seen Valkyrie play Tekken since about 2 years ago at a different event that I was at. But all the same, maybe he's up for it. He's not going to have the choice anymore because he's now gone. But you heard that in the interview. I have never played Rainbow Six before. I am a Tekken player. And that guy is still in the tournament. So if he makes it through round 2, then, you know,
we might have something on our hands.
Maybe we already have our champion.
There we go. You can see them getting up and walking off and leaving the couch now, those that are no longer taking part. We will, of course, get the other 50 that are still there into their next round of game. Pardon me. Next round of games as soon as possible, and get the next set of Siege games going. With what those guys were saying, with how they were never played Siege before in their life, to play as well as they did for a very first-time Siege team and to set up the reinforcements of the defenses as a very first-time Siege team, that's kind of impressive. They had immediate read on the room, immediate read on where they needed to be, and set themselves up into a sensible situation for the map in front of them. Now, I don't know if yeah, there we go. If the next map is going to be the same map, or if they're going to mix it up for the next game, we'll have to find out when they get into it. But what really interests me, and this is something that you don't normally see in an esports tournament, is because you've got this team as a 5, and you get Steve comes down and he interviews them, and normally when you ask a team, you know, who's not pulling their weight, who's the weak link. It's not a very nice question to ask a team because they're normally there as a 5 and planned to, you know,
some guy in the side
to
like
bring each other up and to build each other up and give each other the best chance to win as possible. Because normally the team wins. But here, even if they get through the next round of Siege, then they become competitors. And they're against each other. So it sets them up with an opportunity to get in the mind of one of their teammates.
For almost for a player to turn around and say, well, look, I was doing just fine. This guy over here wasn't doing very well. And you got to say, when Tekken comes around, he's finished.
Exactly. It gives that moment of opportunity. But French guys are staying very friendly for now. Maybe they are keeping that next Siege game focus. Yeah.
Exactly.
Once the second game's done, then they can look towards Tekken and then they can stop the trash talk.
But that does actually beg the question that you mentioned, that some of the defenses were pretty viable. Like they made sense, right? And when you're not sure how many people have been playing the game, all you can really ask for is that someone does something that you can agree with in this level of play. So does that necessarily mean that maybe someone on their team is a Rainbow Six player and was just pointing them in the right direction?
If so,
that's a possibility.
If that's the case, even better, fair play to that guy, because there's so many different things you have to point out in a phase. You've got to coordinate, say, if you know what you're doing, 4 other teammates to put 2 reinforcements each, plus all their gadgets up. Trying to do that when you can only ping using the in-game pieces in one spot at a time, and you have to otherwise describe the place or sort of, you know, explain to this person, which has never played the map, never understood the map before, is no easy task. So if they were being directed by one of their teammates, good job to that teammate. But from the sounds of things from that issue, that specific team, we're just winging it and getting lucky.
You guys didn't see me adjust my ponytail, by the way. I thought I could get it in quickly, but unfortunately I was not quick enough. So as you can see on the screen now, though, shouts to Pringles, lovely, lovely, tasty snack. But we're loading into our next match, you know, so we've got to get another lobby made, we've got to get the players all in,
Yeah,
good to go.
have a Pringle while you wait.
I think, well, that's a lot of Pringles, look at that!
Well,
Look at how many of them.
They've got to, you know, get that pop in action going. They've got to get practice with that because, of course, if they do lose out on this one, they've got to pop to give themselves a chance to.
And a wise man once said, once you pop, you can't stop.
Exactly. So we might have to wait for them to finish that can each before we can get our next game going.
What's your favourite flavour, Pringles?
Sour cream and chive. It's almost like you planned that.
That's really funny
It's almost
because
like
I'm a prawn cocktail man myself. And fun fact, I believe these are very UK special crisps.
He brought those himself. These weren't from the event. He's just showed up. I
genuinely did bring prawn cocktail crisps with me because I wasn't sure.
The best bit is not only did he bring them with it, is that all of our other foreign language casters showed up and went, "What's that flavour?
What is the
How
pink
did you
tube?"
get that flavour?"
And I was like, "Well, it's funny you should ask. Funny you should ask." And then I popped and they couldn't stop. And it was a good time. It was a good time. I've got another one in the green room that I'm going to crack open later. But that said, they're still chilling out. And I think that's actually good because I took a nice little bite as well. That's actually pretty interesting to me. These players are able to sort of stay a little bit composed. We can't undersell.
Helps,
Yeah,
right?
we can't undersell. We're all having a good time and this is a very chill environment. But someone who wins today is winning a lot of really good stuff.
We heard it from our interview with Steve, right? There's like, they have their eyes on the prize. They know that trip to LA, that trip for E3 is right there and it's within their grasp. And just because, it's only the first game, doesn't mean you should stop thinking about it. Doesn't mean you should be like taking your eye off the ball on that front. And yeah, they're Tekken players, so they know that they'd arguably have to focus more on Rainbow Six these first few games to make sure they can get to the Tekken, where then they can relax a little bit, and that's their familiar setting.
Isn't it mad how much of a difference half a couch makes?
It really
That is already an empty couch. It's not going to look so empty once we change to Tekken because I believe the players are kind of scooching over to one side. Yeah. But for now, that really sets in stone how over the course of 10 minutes, maybe 15
When it was
max,
just scrolling along the bottom, I didn't realize quite how empty it was going to look. There were some big portions in there, like the graphic. It's like, okay, they're all gone, this team's all gone. But when you see it visualized like that in actuality with the people, big empty spaces.
And unfortunately for a lot of our competitors, it's going to get even more empty in a few moments as we go into our next match.
On a plus side for those guys, though, the ones that are knocked out, in the green room waiting for them now they are out, even more Pringles.
Exactly.
Even more Pringles.
There is a obnoxious amount of Pringles
I've
in
never
this
seen
building
so many
right
Pringles
now.
in my life.
It's so good. It is so good.
Brilliant. And
everyone gets a bit.
Yeah, everyone gets some multiple Pringles. Everyone's got an extra job. I really wonder, and I'm curious to see if production can help me out here, if we do know what the next map that Rainbow Six is going to be played on is. Are they sticking to border? Because it could be very advantageous to the players that just played it if we stick to border, or if they mix the map up and are sending them somewhere different. Because there's such a variety of maps in Rainbow Six, such a variety of different settings that really play in incredibly different ways. So yeah, teams that have won that first round and were happy with their teamwork and happy they played on that map may not be so in sync on a different one.
Particularly seeing as we already know now that there are players that have made it into our next phase that haven't actually played Rainbow Six before. So as you said, the maps are so drastically different to one another. You can't feel comfortable yet because you know that, okay, well, we got through this first map, but maybe it was just a fortunate map for me. Maybe something that's more out in the open, or maybe something just has a different geometry to it altogether. It's going to just completely throw you off. And there's a lot of, I suppose, I guess maybe we'll use the word good fortune to be had, where if you get two maps that you just naturally feel comfortable on, it's fine. If you get thrown a bit of a curveball and you're not feeling so good, again, it's a best of 3 rounds. You do not have a lot of time to sort of come to grips with things, but that's only going to be even less time now, as I believe the lobbies are being made and they're starting to get into the game of stance.
Yeah, they're starting to join. We saw the admins leaning
forward
over and chatting to them and setting them up. There's also, like, dialing back to our French team, dialing back to our winners. Yes, they won, and yes, they came out top, but there was a couple of players, the Frost and the Castle, on that second round that was sat in that middle corridor trying to shotgun from quite a long range. Now, when Frost first came out, a shotgun could do that. It was ridiculous, but it's since been fixed. Now can't. Now, they were very lucky in the sense that they didn't then lose that fight to the Maverick. He couldn't quite land his shots. He couldn't take them out because that would have completely changed the way the game played. Trying to use a shotgun over that range in Siege doesn't work. If they, say, try that on another map, again, they're not quite familiar with the game, not quite familiar with Siege, not quite familiar with the power of the shotguns. They try that on a different map where they're not so lucky with getting shot. The whole game gets thrown out the window. But if they're playing a map that is smaller and the shotguns will work at any of these engagements, when the maps force their opponents to come closer, then the shotguns are really, really strong. But they're not going to know that until they're in there, until they're going. And they were obviously clearly learning and feeling it out as they went by trying those shots, trying that strategy. Got them through that round, but will it get them through again? It's a gamble.
Only time's going to tell at this stage, and it's kind of like what you said earlier. Even though there are players here that might be more versed with the fighting game than a shooting game, they don't have a lot of time to think about it right now. Because you know, it's kind of in this kind of tournament setting, I would always say take it one match as it comes, one match at a time. Because the second you start to psych yourself out, it completely messes with your status quo. You know, the way you kind of start to make your decisions, and if you are nervous, you mentioned earlier that because the time limit is a little bit lower than it normally is in like a traditional match, I suppose. If you are nervous and timid and you're moving slower and you're just not making the choices you should, that's just going to just eat away at time that you don't have in the first place.
It's the most common flaw that new Rainbow Six players make. So when you play Rainbow Six for the very first time, it puts you into a game mode which has a 4-minute time limit. That's recently being changed. People that do know and watch the Invitational, they are updating that very soon. But from this point backwards, it's been a 4-minute time frame. And 4 minutes is a long time in Rainbow Six Siege, but the biggest flaw that most people make when they play is that they are too timid, they are too scared, and they spend most of those 4 minutes doing a whole lot of nothing, and just sitting there and holding an angle and waiting for a defender to walk into them, which they don't need to do. What these players are doing, because of the 2.5 minutes, they are forced to not play like that, and they are forced to be aggressive and upfront, and so far we haven't seen anyone get too low down on the time frame. We almost had our German team, you know, they got down a bit close, but they started to push as like the minute timer hit, which is a good window to do it and to play their round out. But if they can keep that up, if our other teams have that same sense of urgency on it, then they should be okay with the 2.5 minute time limit.
You almost find yourself in a situation, and this is as someone who, you know, I haven't played Rainbow Six Siege myself in a long time, played it a lot on launch, where you sort of jump into a match and you're not really sure what you're doing, and then a trusted friend who's played it a lot says, okay, right, now do this, 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 and this. You're like, what? And then before you know it, the round's already over and you're dead. So yeah, there's a lot of, I think, discipline that's required too, to both make a good decision yourself and also just listen to your teammates. It really is one of the strongest team games going right now, especially seeing as, you know, Rainbow Six Siege has really sort of gone from strength to strength and competitive. You so rarely see a competitive game grow the way this one has.
No, Ubisoft have done a great job in like taking a launch product which wasn't perhaps the strongest and didn't get the best reception, and sticking with it and working with it and listening to their community and bouncing ideas off the community and then growing it into what it is now. Like I know there are people at home and people that are watching that may argue that no, it still sucks and it's still not quite what they want. But if you look at what it was in year one, if you can remember, it was 4 years ago now almost. It's a drastic.
Where has the time gone? That's ridiculous.
Owned by.
You know, esports makes me feel old. It really does.
Make me feel
Started out as a competitor in like what, 2011, and I was like the young blood. I was like a 19-year-old. I was doing totally fine, and then like what? Click your fingers. It's now been 8 years, and here I am.
I remember going to my very first event, and I was, you know, the youngest in the room by a long way. I was 17, and everyone was there. It's like, oh, you're so young. You're so young. I was like, fine. Now, 10 years later, I'm the old guy looking at these 19-year-old players in here.
New generation.
Thousands of dollars going, oh, what I'd give me 19.
But even some of our players here, like, you can just you can see it in the player cam. There are so many players that are
Golden Pringle.
That is sick. I hadn't seen the trophy until like our last rehearsal because it was in a box the whole day.
Yeah, they kept it locked away for quite a while.
They kept it sealed away. You needed a special pair of glasses to see it and everything. Otherwise, the light rays were just. It was. What I was talking about, I almost lost my train of thought because the Golden Pringle shocked me that much. But look at the player cams. There are so many young players, even here. But for all we know, how many of these players, this might be their first tournament ever.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the start of a journey for some of these guys.
Headsets are going on. We're getting really close. We're getting really close now. Headsets are going back on. Seats are all led forward. We're getting ready.
The lean.
Yeah, the lean is there. You can see it's the game-ready lean as they settle in. Eyes on the prize.
They're already focused. Look
at it.
Look at that. You can just see the body language. And there's some hype too. There are some people, I think, trying to pump themselves up in the back room.
Oh yeah, rightfully so. And these guys, this is our winning team from the first game. That was our French roster that took home the prize in that first round and kept themselves in it. And yeah, they're looking to repeat that with ease. They're going to be feeling high. They're going to be feeling confident. They've never played Rainbow Six before in their life, and they won their first game.
Well, now they
pretty
have.
Convincingly. Now they have, and they won their game pretty convincingly. So yeah, you're going to feel good about that, and hopefully, for their sake, their first round and this next match goes equally well, keeps their morale up. If it goes horribly wrong, then the skill comes in, you know, brushing it off, playing as if nothing happened, nil-nil start point sort of thing, and not letting that get you down.
I think this is why this is like a savage test of skill in general, because I imagine there are some players in this bracket, well, not anymore, that might have been playing Tekken quite a lot. Maybe there were some players in this bracket that were Tekken heads, and they're out, they're gone. Maybe they won't have the opportunity anymore.
See,
There's such a seesaw effect here.
If the players were told what they'd be playing before they got here, because as we said, they'd never played Siege before. If they knew, maybe they'd have practiced. But hey,
Here we
have
go.
switched it up. We're moving on to Villa, and this is mean. It's one of the newer maps, and it's still being figured out by a lot of the pro players.
I see a lot of
Pro
small
community.
rooms.
Yeah, there are a lot of situations that are very close quarters and very in your face on this map. But then there are some spots which are at a fair distance if you know which angles and which little spots to look at. As it looks like, our attacking team doesn't seem to really care for that right now, as they are staying very grouped and looking very fast, as they seem to be making a very brute force push.
I mean,
similar direction.
you said it yourself, right? If you were in this position where it's a best of one map, you'd go all out offense.
They've got a blitz up front too. That's a shield that has a flashbang attached to the front of it that can blind opponents. So that may well be their push. And Ying, who has heavily aggressive flashbangs that can cover a lot of space, begins spraying through the wall. Almost hits a teammate while doing it. And he's just about
I mean, the
bouncing
spray,
off the dock.
at the very least, the spray in turn shows that they kind of know where the defenders might be. Now that's kind of demonstrating a little bit of map awareness. We can see a 1v1 hiding in the corner. The flashbang comes through, and that's already going to be a 4 versus 5. That's going to be swiftly traded now, 4 versus 4. It's dwindling down as each frag goes. And we're now actually reaching the later stages of our teams, number 76 all the way to number 90.
Yeah, this is a UK versus UK clash, and it is going very explosively right now. But with 3 attackers left up, they have a small advantage. Make that a little bit less as they lose one of them now, and it's a 2v2. They're deep inside the bomb site now with Blackbeard trying to find himself a target, but Capcam's keeping himself tucked on in. So is the Rook, but with the diffuser going down, this is a smart play by the attacking team now. The defenders have to come out, they have to move, but he loses his support right as the diffuser gets completed. Now he's in a 1v2. As long as he can get the first kill, he might be all right. He looks for it, and he does get the down onto Capcan. He knows he's no longer a threat, and will start to back away. I think I saw a drone there on the floor looking at the diffuser, which it was, and it gives him the information towards Doc's position, and he will get the kill as Doc aggressively pushes forward, but can't land enough rounds, and Blackbeard with a great reaction.
You know, the moment that happened where he saw the opponent and looked away, I feel like if he was any other operator apart from Blackbeard with that shield,
Yes.
he might have got caught out. I think the shield saved his
You are
skin
right.
there.
It did. It smashed on our screen as he was aiming back up. And if it smashed, it means obviously it was taking bullets. Those bullets weren't hitting Blackbeard. If it didn't break, if it didn't smash, it wouldn't have been there. And it's
That would have been a heartbreaker
saved
to
his
lose as well.
That would have been a
Thank you
painful
very much, Shield Boy. I like it very much.
So, as we mix things up, battle count 71 on that Blackbeard with a big round for his team, getting those 3 kills and the plant down as well, which really helped pile the pressure on. Now they switch things over. Trophy and Statutory. Okay, this is a more common site. It's upstairs again, but it's a similar side of the map. The attacking operators are now, okay, this is dirty. Now in professional play, in the most of the world, Lion is a quarantined operator. We don't go near Lion. He's incredibly overpowered and broken.
But if you're playing for a trip to E3,
Playing for a trip to E3 and he's not banned, you do everything in your power to get yourself ahead. And they do now have him here on this attacking lineup. The one that I'm not so sure about for the attackers in this game is Fuse. He's a great op, he's got a great gun, and he's got 3 armor, so he's very tanky. But his gadget requires you to play a little bit slower. It requires you to set things up, put it on a wall, throw it into a room, and it works like a cluster grenade, and it fills the room with explosives. Deadly, but doesn't really fit the speed at which our current games have been playing. First line charge, he only has 2. First line charge used right now, it's very early on. When someone moves as line charge is active, it shows everyone in your team where that person is. It outlines them, and you can spray them through the walls because that's how Siege works. But using it that early, no one was in any position to shoot those players that were running around.
A complete waste. No one can capitalize.
Yeah, exactly. No one can capitalize on the use of that. So a big wasted Lion charge right out the bat, and now they only have 1 left. But the attack this time around seems to be much more split by our UK number 2 team, as they are by no means as grouped up as the first attack was.
There's potentially, there could be quite a few 1v1s. They looked incredibly outnumbered here, as it's now going to be 5 versus 4.
Battle Couch 71 gets himself a 4th kill.
3.
And this attack being split is really hurting our, again, UK 2 team, as they've lost 2 and down the Blackbeard. Now lose, a team kill on the Lion. They lose the 3rd player, and there's still 5 defenders left up.
I mean, that's all she wrote, surely.
There is the Blackbeard. He died from falling off a roof. That's even more embarrassing. He wasn't even shot. He fell off a roof and got downed and then bled out and is now all onto this poor remaining Twitch. The FAMAS is a fantastic weapon and could be used in a successful 1v5 clutch here, but at the moment he's a long way from any of the opposition and only has a minute to go.
And how nervous will you be here too? I mean,
you've got to be
are you going to second guess your decision?
He
Are you going to be brave enough to go through that door? Uh-oh.
Oh, he walks into a frost trap. It's an even worse way to go. But we do have our second victorious team, or our first rather victorious UK team, to advance into the Tekken round. And, well, they're feeling good about it. Rightfully so.
I feel good about that too, because that was a really dominant performance. So with how they played, I can only assume that probably their round one was dominant too, because I mean they clearly had like an understanding of kind of what they wanted to do. Didn't look like they were completely green to the experience. So well played. This does mean that in this instance, you know, we were moving on, but I think we've actually gone into another match that is live as we speak.
Another live match that is still fighting on through. It's only one round in, so this is still potentially all to play for. Another Lion brought to the table. A very strong attacking lineup, actually. Lion, Glaz, and Ash in that. But our defending team currently has the advantage, so let's see how they get set up. We'll obviously find out what the player numbers are as fast as possible and find out where these guys are from.
Well, we know that one UK squad has qualified through, but the UK had the numbers in this tournament.
Yeah, there was a slight advantage in the number of UK players here, but as they start to knock each other out, as we just saw.
We just heard some hype too. We heard some hype in the background, which I will only assume confirms that another team of 5 has progressed into Tekken. But we still have a very, very slow-paced match going on right now, and the time has already passed quite significantly in this round.
Yeah, Ash on that window is actually potentially here going to do a lot of damage. There's a Kayed and a mirror inside the room that she's hanging onto the window for, but she just doesn't seem to want to pull the trigger. Don't know if she can get herself a clean shot and give her position away. They've got a Glaz repelling down one side as well. The attackers are making their way, and there it is. Ash has picked up the first kill as they go through that rotate, and Jackal downstairs picks up one as well, taking out the Frost as it happens. Valkyrie's got to be careful. They know Ash is on this window now. The shots came in from this. You got to kill from there. So you need to be cautious about sticking your head up to it. The flashbangs come in. Oh, but the teammates coming up the stairs. The cool vibes push, and the flashbang takes Valkyrie down. There's 2 of them on this staircase, and that reinforcement stops her teammate helping her out. So Valkyrie will fall.
This has been a very clean sequence of frags so far. I mean, it's just been, you know, one after the other at this point, trying to get any amount of leeway they can, but when you're this outnumbered, it becomes so scary, especially because, you know, 1 minute on the clock. That's not a lot of time to work with anymore.
Oh, the Capcan trap gets the first kill for the defense, and Mira gets the second one, trying to come up those stairs. Kayed, though, needs to be careful not to stick his head too far around that corner, otherwise he's going to walk straight into Mira's sight line, and then that will not be great. They 2 come up the stairs. We'll be spotting the cameras here. They come on in. Kayed can see them. The tags are going in. The damage is landing, but it's not enough to put him down. In through the room runs Lion. He hits another Capcan trap, so he's going to take a lot of damage for that, but he's still healthy. Mira looks to try and rotate around. Will spot one, but can she land the damage enough to take him out? He's doing enough, and yes, Glaz will fall. 2 versus 2. This is a great hold from Mira and Kayed here, dragging this round out as long as they can. They can't get the plant on, but Lion will push forward and get a quick pick off. Mira, though, trades it straight back, and now it's in a 1v1. And a spray down through the wall gives a 2-round win to Team 31-35, who are from
Italy and Russia, I believe.
So the Italians just knocked out some of the Russians, as that was a 2-0 win.
We're seeing a really nice display, actually, of different regions being represented. We've seen France go through, we've now seen Italy go through, the UK we saw in our second round of the first game as well, and, well, we're seeing nice parts of the world represented, but because they're teams, that does mean that as we break into Tekken 7, the hardcore of hardcore 1v1, we're going to start to see a little bit of turf wars going on, I think.
Yeah, and these teams, these friends that they've just made to get through this far, out the window. They're gone.
No way, no way.
Cutthroat now. I do want to give credit to that Mirror player there in the second game, the Italian guy. I think he's played Siege a few times before. There was some smart moves in there, some good use of that Mirror, good use of the recoil control. He just well positioned, well moved around, and from a 5 versus 2 deficit as it was when that whole skirmish started to begin, bringing it back with Kayed, who doesn't seem as experienced, was a great job for them, and yeah, earned their team that 2-0 win.
So it's been fast and furious so far, but the plot thickens. We're not going to quite move on to Tekken 7 just yet, because we've now gone down to 25 players, but how do you do a 32-man tournament with 25 players? the last
Pringle
chance,
pass.
the
Yeah.
Pringle pass. 7 of our players are now in a position where they have it is a random chance to get back into the fight to finish up and polish off the 32-man Tekken 7 bracket that we are moments away from seeing. There's some really impressive replays that we've seen here, I think. There were some clutch moments, as you said. There were some players finally that we've seen that have maybe touched the game once or twice, which is what you need here. But if you've touched Rainbow Six,
Have you touched Tekken?
have you touched Tekken? That's the question I'm going to ask. And some of the players that have played Tekken and not Rainbow Six, if they're through now, they can breathe easy, and now they've got their fighting chance.
I'm trying to think of all the players I know that play Rainbow Six and all the players I know that play fighting games. And I can't think of any that do have a crossover.
They're so opposite.
They
are so opposite.
Completely different games and completely different styles that, yeah, I don't know anyone that naturally goes, yeah, I like switching from Tekken to Rainbow Six. It's a nice change of pace for me.
I mean, normally when someone plays a game like a competitive FPS or a competitive fighting game, the other games a player would play would be kind of, something that's a little bit more laid back, maybe a card game, maybe
I
something
like
a little bit
switching
more casual.
from Rainbow Six to strategy games, the things that I can pause and take my time. Some strategy games you can't, but things that are a bit slower paced, things that are a bit more relaxing. Tekken fighting games at their highest level, especially, not that kind of game.
Very stressful, very fun, but very, very stressful, as some of you might see with Tekken Up Next. I think I personally am a little bit of the opposite end, where when I'm not playing fighting games, I'm playing arena FPS, so it's pretty much still a very stressful ordeal indeed. I've probably taken years off my life, but you know what? It's worth it for the sake of a good game. But I wonder how quickly we're going. Look at how much they're emptying. Look at this!
Oh, they're congratulating and commiserating their opponents, I think. I thought they were moving down because, of course, now that we're moving into the Tekken and, of course, the 7 extras are going to be chosen by the Pringle Pass, we do need to scrunch up the sofa, scrunch up the couch and get them all sat nice and close together again. Because, of course, where's the fun in all using one sofa if you can't yell at your opponent?
I can't imagine what it must feel like to be playing a 1v1 game with someone if you were on like one part of the sofa and then you're like 50 seats down. You'd need to shout at the guy to talk trash, and they probably wouldn't even hear you.
Plenty of video game tournaments where they will shout at the guy no matter how far or how close they are.
Oh, me too. Me too. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. It's fantastic.
I do hope we get some good old-fashioned fighting game trash talk.
I mean, it's the 1v1 brings out the most competitive in all of us. Because when it's 1 versus 1, one person wins and one person loses.
That is some deep analysis.
You never, the point I'm getting to, I promise I'm getting to a point here, is that no one ever wants to be the loser, right? If only one person can win and one person can lose, you always want to be the one that's got the W, because you just feel bad otherwise.
Yeah,
especially if you're out of the tournament.
And there's nothing else you can blame it on, right? Now, blaming your teammates is not a good thing. Don't do it. But when you've absolutely nothing but yourself to blame, no one wants to be that guy. No one wants to sit down and wallow in self-pity because they know it's only their own mistakes. And it makes it sting that little bit more.
But it makes it feel even better when you get the win. It's one extreme or the other. It is. And look at some of our players now are sort of like resting easy. They look a little bit chill.
Well, they know.
To recap
They're
a little bit.
Better looking into.
That's a lot of.
Our French
team are
Victors did
gone.
not make it through the second round. In fact, that's every French player gone.
No Tekken for them. They were so ready to play.
No French players left on the list, but we do still have a big bunch of Germans and Italians. Looking through to 20s and 30-something. We're now looking into Italians. We do have some Russians still on the squad, looking at up to 35. Then a big missing bunch as all the Spaniards are gone. We start chunking now through the English lineup, and it's not good here. Suntouch is another UK influencer gone and out of the picture. Valkyrie gone too, and there's some more UK players staying in the mix.
One team only, it seems. How much more grey are we going to go through before we see some more players? So much of the UK is gone.
Right at the end.
But there's some more left too, and just like that, we have a little bit of Germany, a little bit of Italy, and a nice little touch of the UK. I promise we'll try our hardest not to be biased. We had the home turf.
No, we won't.
We had the home turf, right? And we've got to understand, one thing we can't forget too, I know it's just Europe to Europe, but flights and travel takes a lot out of the player.
Yeah.
It's not a lot to deal with. You've got to wake up. You've probably got an early flight in the morning. Flying in general was pretty stressful for a lot of players, especially if you've never competed that much before. And if you're in the UK, jump on a coach, jump on a train, you're here. Maybe some people just travel.
I've been on some coaches which are far more stressful than planes.
I hate coaches. I hate coaches so much. But that does mean that
there's
if
an
you're
element in there, you got to pay attention.
If you have the home turf, you almost have a mental advantage already, because there's not even a ounce of jet lag. You're on the exact same time zone, and it kind of just makes your life a little bit easier. But what is going to be easy for some, because all we got to do is open a pot. We're going to be going over to the Pringles Pass. Take it away, Steve.
Thank you very much, casters. So I am here, sadly, with the 25 guys who did not get through that second round of Rainbow Six Siege, but all is not lost. We are currently handing Pringles cans to all of these guys, and in 7 of the 25 we're handing out, there is a Pringles pass. If when they open their can, they get one of those, they will get a chance to go through to Tekken so that we get 32 people to go in that knockout round. So first 5 guys, hello, commiserations, but I'm going to get you to pop. I know he's not looking at me. I'll touch him. Hello. How you doing? You all right? Yeah, good. No worry. We're going to pop these cans, and hopefully at least one of you is going to get through. We'll find out on 3. It's not after 3. On 3. Are you ready? Best of luck. No. Oh no! Away from your face, mate. Gunpowder. No. They told me it'll kill you. That way. There you go. All right. Yeah. There you go. Nearly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, hello. Oh, it's a nice one. I'll be honest, I was hoping that was going to be rubbish, but that was actually quite good. So congratulations. You will be going through to Tekken. The other 4 guys, I'm afraid you're not. Let's move straight on to our next team. Have you all been fully briefed on the safe way to open your Pringles? Good. All right, best of luck, guys. So again, on 3. Let's see if any of you guys are going through as well. 1, 2, 3. Oh, just the one. Oh, hang on, what's he got? Oh, you've got a T-shirt. Yeah, that's right. If you didn't go through, you do get a Tekken T-shirt. So you do get something. You don't go away empty-handed. Congratulations to you. So what's that? We've got 2 of you so far. Where are my next 5? Is that you guys? All the way to you, sir. Best of luck. Don't take... Oh, well, he's done it, so he's through. Wait until I'm starting to feel that the people here don't respect me. Well, those 2 have gone through. Don't open them yet. Do not open your... Listen, look how angry... So, yeah, Thank you. Not yet. On 3. On 3. Ready? Oh, yeah. Do you want to do it?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Way!
That's 5. Thank you very much. Thank you. Last 5 here. Have you all got the hang of it? You've watched it happen 4 times. You've got a rough idea. Oh, is it? It's the guys from... You didn't go through. 2-1. Oh, mate.
It was very close.
Well, the wrong way, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. I feel like we bonded. But, well, look, hopefully we're going to get a couple of you guys through. I think there might be 2 left. I think we've had 5, so I think 2 of you will be going through. Take your lids off, but don't pull the peel. No. Pop the little plastic bit off first. But that, yeah, absolutely, just the plastic. And, yeah, go on, you can take it off now. Don't worry, it won't hurt you. That's it. Beautiful. Yes. On 3. We're looking for our final 2. 1, 2, 3. No. Well, you 2 haven't done it yet, so let's... Yeah. Yeah, hang on. Have I counted wrong? I feel like there was 6. I'll just pick one. I'll pull one out of a hat. But that is our 6 or 7 people that have gone through, so we'll work it out in a minute. But while we sort out that mess and get ready for Tekken, I'm going to hand you back to our casters.
You know, actually, that's got to be the first time I've ever seen a multi-layered pop-off. Because first of all, he popped off the lid, and then he popped off in real life. I was gunning for that guy because he said very explicitly...
He was, I think, without a doubt, the most excited person to see that pop out.
He was like, I know how to play Tekken, and I'm here for Tekken, and I've never played Rainbow Six before. We were sad to see that they didn't make it through, right. And then the one guy we were gunning for opens it last, and he's the last one to get it. And he's excited. I'd be that excited.
You're excited. You are that excited.
I'm excited too, because I now want that guy to win.
And we
a hard journey.
Now. I'm really excited for the 1v1 stage. Rainbow Six is great. I love Rainbow Six. But to see those players playing as teams, 1-4 is nice. But now we're here to find one winner. So that side's out of the window. All the friendliness is gone. All the teamwork, all the niceness
his
is
teammates are already gone as
and
well.
left in the bottom of a Pringles can.
I mean, let's not forget that our chap, his teammates are out the tournament, so now there's not even like a friend become enemy situation. True. Everyone is his adversary. But now Tekken 7. If you've never seen Tekken before, you're in for a real treat.
Yeah, teach me Tekken.
So Tekken 7, a complete 0 to hero is there. It's one of the most successful fighting games out there right now. The Tekken Mod Tour has been a phenomenal league that has seen players from all around the world, because Tekken, as its legacy, is a fan favorite game. It's fun to play, it's even more fun to watch, and the game itself has a lot of different things in place that make it a great viewing experience. Slow down before final hits that might connect, you know, there's a lot of cinematic stuff in there too, but fundamentally it's just a really fun game. And you got, you know, it's 3 out of 5 rounds. It'll be best of 1 match, which is going to be the real killer here, is that you've only got 1 game to beat your opponent. Normally in a sort of, I guess, traditional tournament setting, it's normally best of 3, sometimes 3 out of 5. But this is the Wild West out here. You know, it's going to be only the strongest survive. So you've got to be quick on the mark at adapting to how your opponent plays, and you've got to be really, really good at getting around things you don't understand fast.
Okay, how tough are your combos in Tekken? How, like, you know, are they intricate? Are we talking 4 or 5 buttons at a time or in a row? Are we talking 2 or 3?
Well,
how tough is it to a new player to execute?
Fundamentally, Tekken has 4 attack buttons, right? You've got 2 punches and 2 kicks. The game has, as of recently, as of the 2nd season, there is a kind of like a combo assist that you can use. I don't know. I will admit, I don't know if that's enabled here. If it is, whatever.
Is it by default?
I don't believe so, no. You've got to turn
They're
on
probably not.
combo assist. But fundamentally, Tekken combos, there's a lot of attacks. There's a reason I think that Tekken and some of the other 3D games that Bandai Namco have made have been very successful among the more casual audience, because characters in the game have so many combos that are built in, like 3-hit combos, 2-hit combos, that just involve button sequences. So if you're mashing buttons, you're probably going to get a bunch of them by accident, and it still feels good. But if you are that next level and you know what buttons you want to press and you know why you want to press them, you can piece together pretty legit combos pretty easily. It's going to be very easy, I think, to spot a player that does know how to play Tekken versus a player that doesn't in this tournament.
I know of one that knows how to play Tekken, because he popped off very excitedly when his Pringles can spot out his glitter. And yeah, I'm going to keep a close eye on him and make sure that he really knows what he's saying. But I do expect there may be some sleepers hidden in the rest as well. As you mentioned, yeah, he knows his Tekken, and they're hopefully been training on it. But everyone else has been quiet, comfortably winning their way through Rainbow Six. But I don't think anyone here came in and went, how do I win my AAA? I become a Rainbow Six expert. Because once you've done all your training on that, it's out the window. Now, Tekken, your 1v1s, there's more Tekken games. You've got to get through the bracket from this round of 32. And you're going to end up playing that grand final. Big focus on front of everyone.
It's going to be an interesting experience, because it's 32, then 16, 8, 4, etc., etc. Ultimately down to a grand finals. And it's like I said
moved them all up on the couch.
We have. Yeah, they've all started to shift
again.
That's exactly. I thought that would happen. And now we're down to what could be. One of these players is going to be our champion. Is going to win that trip to E3. Like the 52 cans of Pringles, was it?
Year's supply of Pringles.
The cool Tekken statue. But, I mean, the ultimate prize, the golden Pringle. Who doesn't want that? That's going to be a nice little souvenir to go home with if you're not one of our UK players. But
I want to see the guy taking that through an airport if it doesn't say anything.
You got to pay the extra baggage amount. I did that once. My brother and I had to. We won some big prize, like sticks and stuff. We had to pay extra airport to get it back because we didn't have luggage and we couldn't leave it. We had to.
I did a similar thing, except my trophy, it fit in my hand luggage. It was great. I only took hand luggage there and it fit on the way back. But it was a big glass trophy which was etched internally. And you know how they make those big glass things that are internally etched? Those lumps of glass is infused with lead. So when you put that through an X-ray machine,
oh no,
it doesn't go too well. So I was stopped and searched and asked a few questions about this big black box in my backpack.
Go, no, I'm just sick. You don't understand. I'm just really good at video games, man.
Yeah, no.
So
she was very impressed when I finally explained it all. But yeah, it was an awkward moment. That was for sure.
Look at the empty seats. We've not even gone. We're under half now. So many of our players.
What would you do with the sofa when we're done here? Would it fit in your living room?
I don't think that would fit in anybody's living room. We had to. I was surprised we found a venue to fit it, but we fit it.
It's a pretty damn cool venue.
Yeah. Printworks here has been a fantastic venue for this event. There's been more than enough space, not only for the couch and the players, but all of the the hard-working production guys behind the scenes that are giving us the stream that you're watching right now. Yeah. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to make this kind of thing possible. And I got to say, it's mad that it exists, and I'm glad it does because I've never seen anything like this. And I'm sure these players here, look at them, they're having a good time. But we're loading up Tekken now. Both of our games are installed.
He's got his headband on and everything.
He's ready to keep the hair out of the face. That's the strat, dude. That's the strat.
Serious, gives the sweat off the brow. Feeling good about himself.
But every player, you may be asking, so traditionally fighting games are played offline. We do have still a console dedicated to every player. We're on the same internet connection that these players will face off against each other in an online setting. So it's going to be a little bit different to what you're normally used to.
How does that change the way Tekken works? How much of an impact does that make?
So the online does have a little bit of a difference in that there are little things that can be considered where the performance is smooth still when you play Tekken online, but sometimes there might be input lag situations situations, depending on connections and stuff like that. In this kind of setting, when everyone's on the same connection, it doesn't tend to be too bad. We have very good internet here, but we shouldn't have issues. It's always, it's always sort of more, I suppose, traditional to have players when it's 2 people to 1. But for how this has kind of been constructed with Rainbow Six First, now going into Tekken, it's going to be 1 console per person. If you know how to play Tekken, it's not going to make too much of a difference here. I am admittedly very unsure as to the quality of players that we have. We have Yuki from France on French commentary, legendary Mihawk on German commentary. If any of you guys are watching the German stream, we actually have got some very, very high-level Tekken players on the mic right now. Not me, don't worry, I'm not talking about myself. I don't know how to... I was spending all of last night getting destroyed, actually, by Mihawk in Tekken. It was a great time. He was teaching me Armor King, and I had a really, really fun experience. But it kind of just means that there's a lot of expertise here. We have the Italian Tekken scene represented, the German scene, the French scene. There's a lot of community with Tekken.
Which is the point of the Battle Couch, right? The Battle Couch is to bring players together. That's exactly what we've done so far. Now we're going to tear them apart in 1v1s.
I think there's definitely going to be some commentary bias from our other commentary compatriots.
Hey, we were told we're allowed, and we've got UK teams here, so let's go for it.
Exactly.
I want the UK win.
I'm going to do it. Thing is, I want the UK to win, but I'm really hyped for our guy that just got the
That's true. Our
second chance.
Our
He
French
just
popper.
felt it so bad. He was so good. That was the real-life pop-off. And as this is one of our prizes as well, limited edition statue featuring Heihachi Mishima and Kazuya Mishima. I believe that was in one of the more expensive editions of the game on launch. They're kind of hard to come by these days. They are not easy to get access to. So, yeah, cherish that one.
To any of the first-time Tekken players still on that couch, then, is there a character you'd recommend? Is there an easier to pick up, or like one that has potentially easier combos to do by, say, accident?
There are definitely characters that if you're brand new to Tekken, there are definitely characters that you can play that if your opponent doesn't know Tekken either, maybe you can mash buttons and do well. There's always a bit of a joke going around that Eddie Gordo is cheap. Eddie Gordo is very strong in Tekken 7, but not for the reasons you would think. But there is definitely characters that are easy to pick up if you like pressing buttons and don't really care which ones. Eddie's definitely one of those characters. Katarina is another fantastic beginner-friendly character because she's sort of very similar, that her really strong moves at a low level of play aren't very hard to do, and they do a lot of damage. But honestly, Tekken is one of the things that really holds Tekken 7 in high esteem is that it is an incredibly, incredibly balanced game. There isn't a single character in the game that is completely unviable. The world champion that took the crown for Tekken World Tour last year, won with Panda, one of the apparently worst characters in the game, yet the World Championship is still taken. I actually do believe we're going to be setting up an interview momentarily.
Yeah, we're going to be joined here on our desk by one of our, unfortunately, knocked out influencers, I believe. But we'll see what happens with that in a moment. With, as you say, Eddie Gordo, tell me a little bit more about him. Why is he strong at Tekken, and why is it for the reasons you wouldn't expect?
He is a very, very flashy character, and the reason he's such a good character for dealing with players that aren't as experienced with Tekken is because to learn how to fight Eddie, you need to know where to block. Ultimately, for those that don't know, Tekken is built around mids and lows. If you're crouching, a mid will hit you. If you're standing, a low will hit you. Sometimes it's a 50-50, sometimes not. But Eddie has so many attacks that can go either way. You need to get familiar with his animations, get familiar with how his attacks look, and block accordingly. He's a very, very, very wild capoeira, mix-up heavy character that at a high level, you can just learn the matchup like any other character. But at a slightly lower level, if you're not very experienced, he will just chew you up. He's going to dance around on the screen. He's going to overwhelm you completely until you kind of learn the matchup, which is easier said than done if you're not particularly experienced.
So, I think it was actually the French influencer, and she's going to go join the French broadcast, which obviously makes a bit more sense because I don't speak very good French. I don't know about you.
I don't speak a word of French.
Yeah, so that would have been a bit of an awkward situation.
Je m'appelle Ketchup, I think. Is that?
My name is Ketchup, I think.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
I did 3 years of French at school and none of it stuck.
Oh, I did French in school too, and I forgot all of it now.
Yep. I got decent grades in it, if I remember correctly, but I just exams and nothing more, apparently.
But actually, the funny thing is, there were actually 2 new characters released to Tekken today.
Oh yes, we're playing on that patch.
We're playing on the patch, but I don't know if we actually have the characters. They are very, very new, and in a competitive environment, sometimes they're not available. But Julia Chang, an old school Tekken character that many Tekken fans will remember, and Negan from The Walking Dead is actually a guest character in Tekken. And apparently, he's really good. If you're looking at Tekken's Twitter right now, the community is pretty
I wouldn't
impressed.
be hit by that baseball bat.
I wouldn't either.
Not in any world.
Negan is a very, from what I know very little about the character so far, but from what I've seen on Twitter so far, He's got some unique mechanics that I didn't think would ever exist in Tekken, but here we are. And I'm actually really excited to kind of see what happens in competitive. What these players will pick, I honestly have no idea. With the game being super balanced and there being lots of different characters you can select, it's the Wild West. Anyone can be good, which means that any one of these characters could pick a character and win the tournament.
What do you think the chances of two perfect rounds, two perfect games coming out?
Perfects are really high in Tekken. You see them quite regularly. Damage output in Tekken is very, very high, especially if you're doing the optimal combos. Of course, the wall, the stages having walls on them does open a new mechanic as well, where you can knock opponents into the wall to get even more damage. If you are playing Tekken optimally, a really, really good combo can do more than half life sometimes, and it sets up for a situation where the opponent's against the wall. You can pressure them some more, open up some mix-ups between the mid and low, as we talked about earlier. And if you go for a big payout option and they get caught by it, you can definitely KO somebody in 2 touches. Perfect rounds are just a rite of passage in Tekken 7. Sometimes in fighting games, when you get perfected, it can be kind of demoralizing. What I will always advise to people in Tekken is don't worry about it, because it happens to everyone.
But we're not in a best of 2 or a best of 5 anymore, or a best of 3 or a best of 5 anymore. You're in 1. So if you get perfect rounded once, that's going to feel worse.
If you get perfected in a best of 1 and it makes you feel a certain way in the middle of the match, you kind of run the risk of psyching yourself out. That was sick. That was a lovely looking camera. I like the detail of that.
Yeah, okay, all right. So not looking to get perfected even once.
Some of the players here, I must say as well, they don't look as easy going at the start. There was a lot of there was a lot of happy faces at the start of this, and I feel like as time has progressed and we're getting closer and closer to the supreme prize, we're starting to see a little bit more sincerity here.
Yeah, there's definitely now a lot of oh, this is real. This is happening. I could take home this prize, but now I've got to play Tekken. Now, are those faces of serious focus mode? Okay, I can win Tekken, or are those faces of, oh god, I've never played Tekken. How am I going to get through this tournament?
Well, I see that we are already in a lobby.
Yep, we've got a couple of lobbies.
It does not take a long time to go from lobby to match. You go into the character select, which is going to be pretty important, actually, kind of see who gets selected. Season 2 for Tekken introduced a bunch of new characters. We have Anna Williams, Lei Wulong, Armor King, Marduk, and it pretty much feels like, with the exception of Anna, who isn't seen to be particularly amazing, every character that's been released in Season 2 so far has been pretty competent. Particularly Armor King is a very, very strong character. Marduk's damage is absolutely off the chain. And I'm interested to see who gets picked. I generally don't know. It's hard to make a prediction, but all we can predict so far is that our French friend who was eager to play Tekken and got his way back in, we could see in his body language that he was very excited to play Tekken, which for me, automatically kind of puts someone like that on a radar.
Oh, yeah.
There are people here that
want to keep a close eye on.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree.
When it comes to Tekken, how important is a main character? How important is having that one that you specialize in?
So in other fighting games that have a little bit of a sort of like, a wider range in the tier list, there are some characters that aren't very strong versus some that are very, 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 very good. Sometimes you would pick other characters and have almost like a team of characters that your favorite character's bad matchups might be covered by a different character that wins those bad matchups. Again, because Tekken 7 is a really, really balanced game, and even though I mentioned, Anna Williams isn't particularly very strong, in the hands of a really good player, she can still work, even if she's on the lower end of the spectrum. So because of that, and because the game is balanced, we see in Tekken more character specialists than in arguably any other fighting game on the market. Because every character can win, you can put time and effort into one solo character and grind out matchups, grind out, the optimal way to play, and you are rewarded by being able to use just that character in a tournament setting and do well. So, will people change characters? I don't think so. Those that play Tekken more than others are probably more likely to stick to the same character. You tend to see constant character changes more in a slightly lower level of play when someone isn't really sure who they want to pick.
So you would recommend to the players out there that are currently going, oh, I've never played Tekken before, what do I do? That are looking through the character list, to pick one of them and stick with them through the tournament.
Yes, I would always say play one character and stick with them. If you're brand new to Tekken, just play the board until you find someone that you really like and stick with them. And for the time being, forget other characters exist, basically. Or in this setting, I will always give the same advice. Because if you're constantly changing from character to character, it's best of one, right? So if you win and you're like, well, I've won, but I'm not really sure if I want to pick this character again, you're giving yourself a clean slate every time. It's just counterproductive. I think we're going to see a lot of people stick with their guns here.
smart. I would take that advice. I would stick with those guns. I've played fighting games. They've been one of those games that we play with friends in a room, or everyone.
Who doesn't? Right? That's how a lot of us.
They
grew up
are.
playing.
Yeah, they are a very sociable game, and it's great. But yeah, I can definitely feel that. It's like, all right, I jump in, no idea who I'm looking at, never played the game before. Find a character, they look cool, aesthetically, pick them in, give them a go, and yeah, the first 2-3 rounds of spamming buttons is just trying to figure out which button does this, which button does that. Right? What's these kind of kicks at? And then we're still having fun, so we'll muck around, we'll pick another character. But then I lose 3-4 more rounds to just trying to figure out what the different buttons do again. Because, yeah, it's a fighting game and it's, say, high, medium, low kicks and stuff like that. But it's very different feel from character to character.
So the big thing I will mention, and again, if people aren't very experienced with the game, a very important feature is the rage mechanic. When the opponent gets put on a lower percentage, they get a little bit of increased damage to begin with, and then you get access to a rage drive and a rage art. Now,
they do.
A rage drive, they are both a one-time use. Using any of these options one time will spend your rage and you'll lose it, so you've got to choose one or the other in the middle of a round. It's every single round, and it's basically the game's comeback mechanic. The rage drive is pretty much a souped-up version of an existing attack for every character. Let's say Paul Phoenix, his Death Fist, a big punch attack. It's just a big punch that does big damage. His Rage Drive is a superior version of that Death Fist, and it does more damage, and it's just a way better version of the move, and that will cost your Rage for the round, and that's it. You can't use Rage Drive after that. That's the obvious example because it takes an iconic move that a character has and just makes it better. Now the Rage Art is just a big cinematic super move, and it does a set amount of damage. The weaker you are, the lower HP you have, the more damage the Rage Art will do, but it's much easier to execute. A Rage Art, if you're playing on pad or anything, is your R1 button. That's it.
I think I could pull that off.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it, is that you can rebind it to something else. You can turn R1 into something else. But the Rage Art being as easy to perform as it is means that if you know it exists and your opponent doesn't, you have this massive payout near half-life super move that you can just use at the touch of a button. And in this setting, in a best of one, it's going to make a huge difference.
Would you say, is there a potential strategy to intentionally giving up some health if you feel that you are that much better than a player to get a higher damage rage art?
So normally the way it works is that, you play your heart out, and if you get put into rage, so be it. Now the resource has just been given to you. But because damage output, if you're playing optimally, is so high, even without rage, you don't need rage to win. It's just a comeback mechanic, it's the icing on the cake, and it can get you out of a sticky situation. But if you're playing well, you won't even need it, because a regular decent combo can do between 30-35% damage, sometimes more if you get the wall extension or if you're just in the right place. Some stages have a floor break if you're on something like Forgotten Realm, where certain attacks break the floor and allow combos to begin. So, you don't need the rage to do it, but it just really helps in this kind of situation, especially, again, if people aren't super familiar with Tekken and you're not doing massive combos. The Rage Art is going to be, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest chance you have of dealing damage. If you're not doing regular traditional combos and you're just doing individual hits and combo strings, you need the Rage to do damage.
Well, as you guys saw for a second there, popped up on your screen, we are again getting more and more players into the lobby. We're getting ready, and as you saw, those last two players on the couch there had headsets on, and we are looking at game number 1. So, tell me everything that's on the screen right now. What does it mean?
Okay, so Abandoned Temple is going to be the stage. Pretty large stage, but it has walls all around, so they may be put to good use. Katarina is actually one of the more beginner-friendly characters I mentioned.
You mentioned that, yeah.
Normally it's 4-4-4, but I'm going to call it circle, 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 seeing as we're on this stream. It's a very, very efficient combo string that if the opponent doesn't know how to get around, it's a very mashable button. But her, in turn, she's very fast. She's got really high damage output. Kuma is actually seen to be... He's a bear. Kuma is definitely a bear, but Kuma is actually one of the characters that... this is actually the character that won the World Finals last year, but it wasn't Kuma, it was Panda. But they're the same character, they just look different. Now, almost immediately the round is going. We see a knockdown but no combo extension, and now Katarina kind of right now just outspeeding a little bit. If you get caught pressing buttons like that, they are going to do big damage, and that button for Katarina in particular does a huge chunk if you get caught pressing. And now throwing it out again.
So Bird versus Kayak players, obviously you can see at the top of your screen here, these are both German players. So we're going for an instant team kill here if this doesn't, well, it's guaranteed to go for an instant team kill here for the Germans.
Now, I'd like to actually mention we are starting to see that sort of like circle, circle, circle put to good use, and constantly trying to press buttons and getting caught, big damage, and this is actually why Katarina is such a fantastic newcomer's character, because her strings are so easy to perform and they do so much damage that if the opponent's not ready for it, it just chunks your health down. And this actually could be a pretty easy 3-0. Kuma does have high damage output, but you've got to know what button to press. Unfortunately, not really pressing much. We do get the tail spin for the combo extension. That is the biggest combo we've seen so far, but it's probably not going to matter. And there it is. Tries to press back-to-back buttons, and Bert with a swift 3-0.
Now, to my untrained eye there, that very much looked like Bert has played Tekken before and knows Tekken a lot better. Was that the case? Or is that more that he just had that more beginner-friendly character and knew his one button?
I feel like that very much was a thing, that he kind of was just aware of the right string. But again, if you're aware of it and you know it works and your opponent's not getting around it, so be it, I say. And that's going to be Bert moving on. Now, King versus Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, very small, very fast. King is a pretty technical character at high level, very heavily built around grabs, unblockable grabs.
Never mind. So, 18 versus 19. Perk versus Fenrir. We're looking at another German team kill potentially going on here, but this is a much more even-looking fight.
Now, the Rage is available. The question is, does Perk know how to use it? The While Rising 4 is going to be good for a little bit of extra damage. You do get some extra attacks while you're standing up from the ground, but we're just seeing some quick jabs. Hang on a minute, trying to press buttons, and there it is. The hop kick, slightly little different variation of hop kicks. That happens when you're getting hit and still trying to press buttons. When you get hit, you generally lose your turn. You have to block, and if you're not blocking, King is just going to beat you up, basically.
2 rounds to 1, though, in favor of Perk on King, and well, it was looking good from the start of this round, but a quick turnaround puts him on the back foot here, and we could be looking at an even pair.
But you notice now he's flashing red. There's the Rage, props the R1, uses it on reaction to a button press. Now, it's not going to kill. It's going to come very close to it. And like I said, the weaker you are, the more damage it does, but it's not enough. On the flip side now, Fenrir does actually have their Rage art all ready to go instead. Are they going to press buttons? But no, the back-to-back jabs works again, and that's a golden giveaway that someone may not have played Tekken as much. When you're getting hit, you have to block what comes next. If you're trying to press buttons, you just can't get your button out in time, and you just get...
Good sportsmanship.
Yeah, that's it. Good sportsmanship. It's always nice to see. If you're playing fighting games, you got to shake the hand, man. That's just the way it is.
So there it is. There's our first 2 games of Tekken. Remember, all the other games were happening at exactly the same point. That one looks like one of our longest games, which is why we were able to jump into it halfway through. But that is our round of 32 done. We're now looking down at only 16 remaining players.
We're so nearly done already. We've only just started. What is going on?
This is the speed of the battle couch. This is how important it is, as everyone mentioned, to quickly bash through this. We had a lot of players here to start. We've got to get down to 1 winner, and there, as you can see, all of our losers standing up and walking away, being ushered off the couch and into the player lounge. We'll look at a couple of replays from those games, and of course you can tell us a bit more about these characters and these games that we watched.
I mean, ultimately, at this level of play, it's just going to be a character, whether you're pressing the right buttons or not. You know, if neither character seems particularly experienced, they're not going to be doing the big combos, which you're normally familiar with Tekken. That was a really fantastic move, actually, because that hop kick that King has does sort of crush those low pokes, because it hits as a mid. Kind of what I talked about before, where the attack direction is high, mid, and low. Mids will, for the most part, if they come out at the right time, sort of crush a low, because if a low doesn't go low enough to the ground, it just gets eaten up by the button press. And if you're not doing big combos and mids like that one that we saw from King does a nice little chunk of damage, it's not a bad button to press, especially when the opponent is just constantly pressing buttons.
So the players all then that did successfully take their games, shuffling on down and closing the gaps back up again. Now, as we mentioned, of course, all those players, those were 2 team kill games. That was Germany versus Germany, because of course they were sat side by side as they shuffled along. But now that those players are getting knocked out, we're going to start seeing some inter-country, inter-regional matches shaking up within here, and we start to see some countries taken down.
I think, can we still see our French friend on the left-hand side? I believe he's still kind of sitting there.
Yeah, possibly. I can't quite tell.
I can't make him out from back here. I'm really struggling.
He was on the very left end when he was playing Rainbow Six, but then they shuffled him around. He moved elsewhere, so he wasn't there for that last range. Actually, Bert was playing on his console. I was checking the console number. So I looked at the number and went, oh, it's our friend. And it wasn't. He'd been
That's
moved
what you were
away.
looking at in the middle of the match.
That's why I was really
You were
excited. I was like,
consulting
it's
it
our
in the
buddy. And then the actual names came up and realized that they've swapped consoles. So that changed that. But I don't know. I didn't see if he got knocked out there or if he's still in. But he was very confident with his own play. And he was very confident with his Tekken knowledge. And, well, there he is.
That's it. That's our man. Look, there's the fist
Thank
bump.
you,
So
production.
I believe they're in the match right now. They would be in the lobby. Either that or they're waiting and they're just wishing each other good luck, which is always nice sportsmanship in this kind of setting. Our number 2. What if number 2 takes the win? Second comes right after first at the end of the day, they say. And look at the far side of this camera angle. How many empty seats now exist?
It's such a big sofa and it goes all the way. Well, I think, do we now have more referees than players? We may well do.
I think so. Oh my God. That's
Look
a
at
lot
that.
of losers.
Look at the glitter on the floor too, but all those losers down, and we've still got 15 more losers to find. Don't know why that excites me so much.
I mean,
Dude.
it excites me because this is the critical point of the tournament. Every single person sitting on this couch now, you know they've got the thought in their head.
There's a
Oh my
few
God.
less smiles on that sofa now.
It's like I can win this.
Yeah.
I'm actually in a position where if I win a few more games, I'm going to America.
Yeah.
And that is a nerve-wracking situation.
I've seen some of the details of that trip. As I say, it's not just a trip to E3. It's obviously trips to Los Angeles for it, and it's not just show up for a day, whatever. It's a full trip, and there's a lot
California
of
is
things in
lovely.
that schedule which are very enviable. I saw things that I want to do. I haven't done these things, and it looks fantastic.
I'm fortunate enough to have been to E3 before, and I've got to say, it really is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You can go to conventions around the world, but nothing really has the same feel. It is the big one for a reason. And everyone here, if you're a gamer, you've heard of E3, and everyone who plays games, especially if you live outside of America, where it can be quite hard to get to sometimes, everyone's dream is to one day attend one of them. So how about one day of video games and you get a direct ticket there and back? That sounds like a pretty good prize to me.
There we go. The admins just give a quick lean over, headsets on, the words are in ears. We're getting in for our next round of games, our round of 16. Pringles
This is-
put down.
This is the important point, and you would think the level of play is now going to expand just a little bit, but as we can see, there are clearly some players that haven't played Tekken maybe as much. There were some players, almost like the first, Bert, where he was playing Katarina, where even if he wasn't playing exceptionally well, he knew what button to press. That Katarina has some very
As
easy
that
to
one
do
was done.
strings that just shred if you're not ready for the matchup. And it's kind of, if you want to get even more technical, the reason you don't see a lot of those strings from Katarina at a really high level is because this is a 3D game. You can sidestep things, and more importantly, you can crouch things. There are certain attacks that come out in Tekken where, if someone does something that is a high, you can crouch it. And if you're crouching underneath it and the opponent is still sticking a button out, they're vulnerable during this stage. And while they're vulnerable, you can hit them for free. It's not easy to do, to crouch something and punish it and catch that button press with a full combo. It's pretty high level to begin with. But once you kind of get that timing and you kind of funnel into the game and you start to see the game mechanically, those kind of plays really define competitive Tekken. That it's knowledge through and through. It's knowing that, oh, I can sidestep that, oh, I can crouch that. You might have a tiny little window to get the answer to a string or a combo attack, but once you know it, you've kind of reached that next level that you weren't at before, and it's a very satisfying learning experience. You just naturally feel like you're getting better.
You're making me want to learn Tekken after this.
But it's not very expensive if you want to go and get it.
No.
The PC version of Tekken is very well optimized.
Okay, well, here we are with our next game, our first game of the round of 16, and 2 new characters.
As Asuka and Martial Law. Law is a very aggressively. He's got lots of really efficient combo strings. He's like there
was some very excited noises coming from our foreign language
I know
casters.
our Italians right here are pretty big Law enthusiasts, and here is our main man, Anko, playing as Asuka. And if he plays Tekken and he plays Asuka, I would be worried. She is a very, very high damaging character.
I expect some deep analysis and harsh words towards his style of play here after, as you mentioned, he's so confident.
Now, you actually very rarely see that string from Asuka, but she's got some really dangerous lows that are kind of difficult to deal with. There was a big launch there, but we're not seeing a full combo, but it's damage nonetheless. Throwing out more lows, but it's getting scouted out. Very, very even for now, and this is going to be a battle of the big payout buttons, I think. There's the low again. I believe that was a counter hit, which means he's pressing buttons and he gets hit by a low for another time. Here's the thing. Asuka is throwing out a ton of lows versus Law here. That's going to condition you to block low. If you block low, she's got some devastating combo launches. But for now, just refusing to block low for the time being. Finally blocks her that one time, but even though he lands a full combo, he's unable to really capitalize. There's the low for another time. Goes for the stomp. That's going to whiff, and the punish comes through. Clean stuff, but now you got to watch out for Rage. And Anko plays Tekken. He knows it's Rage! Presses R1 on reaction, catches the Rage R, and that is going to be a 2-0 clean from Anko.
Down they go, but it was getting very, very close. SR Laos here, our number 48 player, is from Spain. So this is a Spain versus France clash. Can SR Laos bring this back? He was very close in the last one. It does seem to be getting a read on what Anko's doing here.
Now, the problem is he's just walking into this low constantly, over and over again, and that really sort of starts to add up hit after hit. And now, actually, the turnaround from Laura has been absolutely real. Doesn't want to overextend. He knows what the Rage did last time, and now he needs to bait it out. You know, sometimes you can stick a button out to try and get them to react with Rage. If you block the Rage, it's gone. You know, that comeback mechanic is gone. There's the low takedown, gets back into the fight, and one round goes down now for Laos.
All right. We're back in with a very aggressive start, and he's still being juggled. Oh, this is not looking good.
If you get caught by that launch, Asuka has massive damage, particularly near the wall. It's going to be the launch as well. Gets caught pressing buttons, goes in for the big payout. Oh my God, springboards over the low, blocks the mid. This is so close. One hit's going to take him out. Watch out, the crouch again! Oh my God, the comeback. It's going to be real. The wall rising 4 is going to come through, and that is exactly the button he needed. That was almost a ridiculous.
That was so incredibly tight. He had his Rage Art too, but just didn't quite get the press off in time. And Anko, you could see the relief on his face. He was worried there for a second towards the end of that fourth round, but comes away with that 3-1 victory. But that was tight.
It was, because the second we saw that combo from Asuka, that even if that's not like a super optimized combo, it was a combo nonetheless. You know, the sort of the general combo mechanic of Tekken involves getting what's called a tail spin, where the opponent gets knocked away, they kind of corkscrew out, their legs go up into the air, you can dash in and continue the juggle. That's kind of why Tekken is so well known for having these big combos, because there are a lot of mechanics in place that let you just keep the pressure going. And that was kind of one of those situations that we saw. And I think that kind of reason is why that was the kind of play I expected to see. You know, he at least he knew what buttons he wanted to press. They were working for a while. He wasn't sticking to one button only, but more importantly, the Rage mechanic. There was that second round, that reactionary, just you press R1, you can react to buttons so easily with a single button press that if you know about Rage and the opponent doesn't, you just have an instant advantage.
All right, well, we saw exactly what our famous French player, our favorite from that very first game in Rainbow Six, has to show. Is he unbeatable? Do you think he's the best Tekken player on that couch? Bear in mind, there's a lot we haven't seen.
Exactly. We haven't seen everyone yet, right? But I feel like from what we've seen so far, I think he has impressed me the most. Okay. That said, we haven't seen everybody. There might be someone lying in wait that we just haven't been able to. I mean, maybe. 100 players under one roof. There's a good chance that maybe there's someone there that knows a thing or two about Tekken. But
it's still a very real chance that some of the players that never even got to play Tekken are our best Tekken players. If they dropped out in the Rainbow Six stage, if they couldn't quite pull it out on that, they never got to show themselves on the stage.
It must be a bad feeling to have lost round 1 in Rainbow Six, and like maybe you're watching some of the Tekken matches now, and you're just like, I would have beat everyone here. But it's like, I should have studied Rainbow Six, my dude.
Studied Rainbow Six.
It's a very, very cutthroat circumstance. But whoever wins this, I mean, you're going to be the best player of the day. You know, you withstood the test of time. You had the good odds. I mean, what if he wins now after getting the second chance?
It's like the ultimate Cinderella story.
It's like it was meant to be. Absolutely. But
that's the way. We're down to a round of 8 now. We're going to get a very, very small looking sofa in a moment. We thought there was a big empty gap before, but we see a few players now funneling past us. On our left here is the guys that just couldn't quite hack it, couldn't quite make it. Here's a couple more replays of these clutch combos and last moment saves. Talk us again through some of these as we see them.
I mean, what we saw right there was just a reactionary Rage Art. The reason Anko absorbed an attack there is because pretty much every Rage Art in the game has what's called armor. Armor allows you to power through an attack. When you get hit, you kind of flash white. And what happens is you just don't react to the hit the opponent's doing. If a move is armored, it means that you continue your attack no matter what. And if they attack you while you're armored, you just hit them for free because they're stuck in their recovery animation. You've just absorbed the hit and you just continue to do the attack. Rage Arts having armor in that situation makes such a big difference because if they're running in to do a big attack, you armor through it and now you've got the biggest payout possible.
All right, but let's hear exactly from our players how they think their Tekken tournament is going because Steve is over on the couch once again.
I am, guys. I'm actually here with Sofian, who we met at the very beginning. He did very well in the first round of Rainbow Six, but then went out in the second, then pulled the Pringles pass with the confetti, and is now in the final 8. Sofian, how are you feeling?
I feel confident, but I think I put too much pressure on me for the fight for Tekken, and that could be difficult.
Well, you set yourself up as being better at Tekken than Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six you did go out on. What went wrong in the second one on that? Don't let me put you on the spot. Just say I don't want to answer that. It's fine.
Overthinking.
You were overthinking it.
Overthinking.
Okay, but you got through on the Pringles pass. You've played 2 rounds of Tekken now. How confident are you feeling? Like, are you actually very, very, very good, or have you just been very lucky?
I think I'm good because I'm practicing the game on my very house. I very like Tekken 7, but with the overthinking and the pressure, I can lose at any time, I think.
Well, look, from my point of view, narratively, this is very satisfying if the first person I spoke to ends up winning this. So I'd really like you to win. I shouldn't be picking favourites.
I hope so.
Well, I really hope you win. I've declared an interest, guys. Back to you.
I think we kind of mirrored that, to be honest.
Exactly. We're not in cahoots, I swear. I just think there's a story. And just look at that player cam.
That's so empty.
We are dwindling away in record time as now we go into our final 8. In a tournament setting for fighting games, the top 8 is always what players strive to achieve. It's kind of like, you know, the 8 elite, as it were. And that seems to just sort of be where we are right now. That does mean, though, if we're in our round of 8, there is a potential to see some players we haven't seen before. Yep. We're going to see if Ango has some competition, because right now he's my pick to win.
He also has a great attitude you can do it. As he said to Steve there, like he may have put too much pressure on himself. Now, as we say, we've got this Cinderella story. We've got him going out in Rainbow Six, but coming back after the first round, and he's putting his way through. But if he keeps overthinking things, if he's inside his own head too much, he could really be his own worst enemy now. But the fact he's aware of that, it's a good sign, and maybe he's got just enough to keep himself going and pushing on through. But as you mentioned, in the top 8, there's 7 other very good Tekken players now sitting next to him, looking for their chance to take him down, especially as he's been put up on this podium by Steve now.
It's all getting very real, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
I'm really curious to see how our viewers at home might feel. I know there's multiple streams going now in a variety of different languages, but you know that the people involved in this tournament, their friends and their family are watching because there's so much on the line here.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone wants to watch.
Hey, they get 2 tickets for winning. Someone wants to go with the winner here. Someone wants to be that friend.
Are there going to be some partners or some best friends or some brothers or sisters that are watching this like, come on, man, give me that trip. I want it so bad.
You know there are. There's definitely some people sitting at home cheering their friend on, knowing that if they win, that second ticket goes with them.
That's a celebration. That's a celebration right there. But I mean, we're moments away from finding out. This is where it's all starting to get pretty tense. But as far as I'm aware, we're still in a best of 1 game situation. And you've seen how fast and furious these rounds are. 1 game is not a lot of time to make adjustments. So you've got to be a particularly good Tekken player to lose a round and then immediately be able to clock, right, what did I do wrong there? In many ways, one of the hallmarks of being a world-class Tekken player is to download an opponent in less than 1 round. Because, the typical format for Tekken World Tour and stuff like that is 2 out of 3, and even 2 out of 3 is not a lot of time. So the best players in the world can lose 1 round, maybe it's the first round you've played, and then go, right, I know what I must do. And the opponent has now just been downloaded forever. It's now their turn to get that inch up on you instead, which is very hard to do, especially in a stressful environment. Not many people around the world have played in a tournament setting, no matter what the tournament is. And it introduces such a high level of stress, especially this late on.
An offline tournament setting makes a big difference too. Playing online, signing up to weekly tournaments, things, that's one thing. There are another level of stress that you don't get playing normal game. But then coming to a venue, playing in front of not quite a crowd, but there is all those lost players are sitting out the back watching. They know that. There's admins behind you. There's referees. There's production stuff. There's us.
There's us here.
Sitting here talking about it and judging you play. That adds a whole nother tier that you don't get even in those home online tournaments, which adds and stacks up. And now that we're in the top 8, things are going to speed up, because it takes less time to get our next players into the lobby and to shuffle them down and get the next lobby going and shuffle them down, because we've not got as many players to deal with. We've not got as far to walk on the couch. We've got fewer places to get that next champion, that character select going and get that next match underway. And with that, we are seconds away from getting our round of 8 started.
I mean, we're in round of 8, so this means that as each match goes down, the players are going to get better and better and better. We're moments away from getting down to our best 2 players of the tournament, which should set up for a really exciting grand finals. But I'm curious to see who we're going to be watching. Are we going to see some more?
I want to see 2 new faces.
I'd like to see 2 new faces too. I really want to see some players that we haven't been able to witness, try and sort of gauge the rest of the competition. Blowing in Lars versus Lord. Now, Lars is not a very popular character. He's very, very tricky at a high level. He has a lot of buttons that sort of cancel into more buttons, and you need to know what buttons to press to make him effective.
So does his selection here hint towards an experienced Tekken player that knows exactly what they're doing, or hint towards someone that randomly got unlucky?
You can like the look of Lars and pick him because he looks cool, or you can be aware.
Hang on a minute, it's Official Deluxe. Official Deluxe is our Italian influencer. I was not aware he had come so far. And he is here, sitting here up against another Italian player in Sandro.
Now, he's in a permanently crouched state. You very rarely see that unless he's trying to go for a wall rising or something like that. But either way, he's sticking out those long-range limbs, gets caught pressing. That's one of Lars's strongest buttons, that if that sort of like double fist connects, it does set him up for a full hit and a full combo afterwards. Has to watch out for Rage. He goes in for Rage Art, but is he going to take damage? Oh, he gets it in time! I was very nervous. The thing about an arm attack, yes, that was guaranteed death 100%, because the weaker you are, the more damage your Rage Art does. That was a max damage Rage Art. I was nervous because when you armor an attack, you still take the damage. So if you do a Rage Art out of desperation when you're one hit away from death and you get hit, you're still actually going to get KO'd before your attack lands. However, the pressure coming through from Deluxe is going to be good so far. However, we now are in Rage territory again for not Sandro. This is the perfect opportunity to get damage. Now he goes for Rage Art, too late. Even if he tried to Rage Art there, he didn't have the health to absorb. It's now 1 round apiece.
This is getting very, very tight. You can see the players' expressions on their faces. There's a serious amount of focus there from Official Deluxe with his hoodie on underneath, and he's still just staring at the screen. A little bit more of an animated player, though, is Sandro.
Oh, big old launch, but unfortunately goes for the wrong combo string, moves way too far away to capitalize, and there's the knockdown. The Rage has been activated for Deluxe. Does he know to use it? He's getting constantly hit by the jabs and the instant hop kick. Hello! Landing down, and now not Sandro looking to be on match point. These are close games. Whiffs the full combo. That's unfortunate, because now he's going to take some free damage. Jumps over the low. That is going to be actually a pretty legit thing to go for if you read a low. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but he's not going to care. He's doing big damage right now, and he's just getting caught by that roundhouse over and over again. The hop kick for damage. It's going to be game over, I think. He's pressing far too many buttons. But wait, there's the tailspin. Oh my god! The tailspin into knockdown, and then gets the meatiest of meaty buttons.
2-2, it all comes down to this. It's our final round, and these two players are playing fantastically.
This is absolutely ridiculous. He gets a knockdown, and unfortunately for not Sandro, he was doing so well, but now he's getting overwhelmed, caught pressing buttons, and therefore taking more damage. The anti-air comes out, but it's not really going to matter too much. Look how much damage! Whisk the Rager, and that might be game over.
Oh, he's already shook
Full
the
combo
GG.
punish! Full combo punish right there. And that's it. The Rage Art is a wonderful button, but it's unsafe on block. You're wide out in the open for a free combo.
Before the animation even completed, the players had shook hands and...
He's gutted.
Oh, he is gutted.
He's so...
He put up a great fight.
I feel both very good and very bad about that at the same time.
I've got to feel bad for him. It's a painful way to go, but ultimately Deluxe was the better player on the day.
If you make a comeback like that, so what we just saw right there was a perfect example of you're doing so well.
Yeah.
You're doing so well. One hit, right? One hit's all it's going to take. And you're in top 4. Not to make it worse, but I will make it worse. You're in top 4. One little hit, right? Your opponent pulls off the impossible comeback. And while you're still really upset about how that went, you're already halfway through the next round. You're not thinking straight. You're not focused. You're still worrying about how you lost the comeback in the previous round. And before you know it, the game is over. That is exactly what happened. And Anko's got through to top 4.
Hope Hono, number 28, is our player coming in from, let me double check this, is another Italian player still in the roster against Official Deluxe, who, as we mentioned, is our Italian influencer. Number 87, we still have a UK boy to go. Gidon, Jason La is my new favorite boy. I can't help but root for my home crowd, especially if you're sticking with Anko, our Cinderella.
Okay, so that's 2 Italy. We have
one UK, one France,
and 1 UK. So either way, it's going to be a, country versus country grand finals, which is going to be impressive in itself. I still feel like of all the characters seen so far, Anko, he's my pick. I want to be biased so bad, but my eyes don't lie. I've got to go with what I've seen so far, and he's got through into the top 4 now. And he said it to himself. He's going in with a game plan. He's saying to himself, I can't psych myself out. I've got to be ready for this. And he's...
So smart.
Yeah, he knows he's going into it with a plan. And not everyone does go into this kind of event with said plan. That said, we just saw a ridiculous comeback made by Deluxe. So he's going to be feeling really good.
Until the final, so there's still another little buffer zone there.
If you're in the zone now after pulling off a comeback like that, going into the semi-finals, I mean, he's got a lot of momentum. I don't think any player in this bracket, and we can see what happened here, that the thing about Lars is, if you get caught pressing buttons, he does a lot of damage if he just catches you off guard. And that's what happened, and this was the comeback. What happened here was a perfect example where, not Sandro, he tried so hard to get that last hit, he wasn't paying attention to whether he was actually what his situation was. He was trying so hard to get that last little bit of damage that he wasn't paying attention to the fact that he himself was getting hit. And if you're getting hit, you have to block. You have to give up your turn, because if you get hit by an attack, you're still recovering from it while the opponent's now able to move again. So just the way it generally works is that when you take damage, you have to understand that, right, I now have to be patient. I'm now going to block, and now it's my turn to attack.
Got a bit tunnel visioned on trying to land that last hit.
So many players can be so focused on trying to get that last hit that they don't pay attention to the little details. And unfortunately, it was the little details that just sent Sandrew out of the tournament in a pretty stylish fashion, I have to admit.
Still a little bit of friendliness happening on that couch at the moment. There's players that are about to face off against one another, smiling, chatting, having a little discussion about their previous games, about the previous rounds. But you can see Anko back in the zone now, and he's a nervous man. You can see him.
It's that little leg nod.
Yeah,
I do that as well. Actually.
Oh yeah, I think we all do it to some degree, whether it be legs or whether it be a little tap on the desk with your hand, or
semi-finals.
Sitting there, controller in hand, just sitting there wobbling one thumb, wiggling around the stick, some little nervous fidget. Everyone's got to tell. And well, just as the headsets are getting put back on, admins are leaning over and setting up the final things for the lobby. We are looking to start our round of 4 and get that one step closer to that golden Pringle.
I feel like this has been a really good experience so far.
Great experience.
This battle couch has just, I feel like it's actually served the purpose it was supposed to, which was to get 100 hungry players in one place, get them to play in a competitive setting. Now we're going on, it's becoming a lot more real to our players that are starting to really, I think it's soaking in what they're playing for. And then there were 4. We have 2 semi-finals and a grand finals. I believe the semis are still actually going on at the same time, so we very well could be 2 games away from this tournament being done and dusted in no time at all, really. That's how much of a difference it can make when you start off with 100, play 1 game each time, and here we are.
And of those 100 hungry players that started, not one's hungry anymore, because there have been so many Pringles, everyone is full. And here we go, back into our semi-final. 2 faces I'm new to again.
We are seeing a character change, though. This is kind of what I was talking about before, that he's gone from, Deluxe has gone from Lars to Miguel. Miguel has some of the shortest range in the game. He does need to pretty much get point blank to do damage. Season 2 did show him a little bit of love. They did sort of increase him a little bit. They buffed him a lot to make him better than he was before. But he's still a pretty close range fighter. Katarina, we've already seen what Katarina can do if you know what buttons to press. And if Deluxe is not watching his toes, he's going to eat some pretty devastating combo strings from Katarina 100%.
Oh, opens up strong. But the return from Official Deluxe does start off very well for him, and then he blocks the counters coming the other way.
There's a lot of situations where they're both trying to press buttons at the same time. A pretty substantial gap in between that string from Katarina, so it's no doubt we saw an interruption, but now he's trying to press, and it's going back into what I said before, where if you get hit, you've got to give up your turn, because if you don't, you just take free damage. And instantly gets the counter hit, but there is no follow-up. Wonderful tech on that grab, actually. That's one of the first grabs I've seen all tournament, and it was teched, pressing buttons, and Katarina is just going to get the damage. A full combo launch, and the wall extension for increased damage. That is why Katarina loves the wall pressure. It's a record time match point.
We're in round of 4. Is this going to be over already? Official Deluxe is not looking good here, but he's finally starting to land some damage.
And he's in that situation where, because he's trying to press buttons, you actually see it in the play cam, there's a little bit of button mashing going on, I must admit. And you're going to fall victim to Katarina quite significantly if you do. Watch out for the rage, it does not matter. Slap in the face.
Hey, if it's gotten him this far, if Hope has just been spamming that one button with Katarina to get him to the top 4, that is an achievement in its own right.
Just like that, he's lost half life. He's getting clipped significantly, gets the knockdown, but you can actually full combo that if you're aware. Another throw tech. Yeah, I believe that's a grab that you can tech by pressing pretty much any button, so it's no wonder we saw a tech in this situation. Hang on a minute, the comeback. It was a pretty devastating 2 rounds. Are we going to see another comeback again? 1 hit for both players. Oh my God, the 3-hit string is going to be good. And for a second time, Deluxe is so close to match point.
Deluxe has realized what his opponent's doing. He's read it and gone back to 2-2, but he's now on the back foot in this 5th and final round.
Oh my God, the knockdown. Hang on. Oh no! Oh my God! Oh my God, the spectator client left. The spectator?
What are we watching?
You just watched the spectator client disconnect from the lobby.
What just happened?
And now they're going to have to play it again.
I can see from our Spanish comrades over to our right that the other game is still underway. It is 2 rounds to 1 in the other half of our best of 4. They will have to play that other round again, but that's catastrophic. We just finished, the other game's done.
That's the worst. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That is the worst thing that could have happened.
Yes, there's no sugarcoating that.
Match point for both players. The spectator client I don't know whether the PC crashed.
I don't know who won the other game. We can see them shaking hands and congratulating, commiserating one another, but I couldn't tell from my colleague's screen over there.
I believe I saw Oscar win.
Which?
I think I saw Oscar win, which means that our French buddy boy might still be in the bracket. But I must be. I'm so focused on what's going on for us.
I just...
Sorry, guys. By the way, first of all, really sorry that happened.
True.
that is very unfortunate. No one wants to see the end of that match.
Obviously, you have to wait and hear from our admins, from our league ops and stuff, what the course of action is. Of course, they're going to replay it just the final round.
Yeah, so we found out they're going to be replaying the final round. So we're going to go back into the match. That's probably, I think, the best way they could do it so far. It was match point both players. The problem with having to restart, even though it's inevitable, nothing else can be done. Any amount of momentum that was built by the comeback from Deluxe is going to be gone.
Yeah.
He's going to be going in with a pretty fresh slate. Both players need to not be frustrated at how it happened. If they're frustrated about a match being disconnected, like it happens to the best of us, don't worry. But you got to shake it off, because one round is going to put one of our players into grand finals, and then from there it will be one series away from the championship and being the winner of the 100
I'm not even
couch.
playing.
I'm
This is starting to get me a little bit antsy, get a little shake, a little bit wobbles on my
This is
part.
what the end stage of a tournament does to people, isn't it? This is what happens.
This is why we do it. This is why esports is a thing. This is why competitive video games are as big as they are, because even if you're not a player, you're at home, you're cheering your fans on, you're cheering your favorite team, you're getting into it. It's just infectious.
Ooh. So we're loading into, I think, what is a fresh and brand new lobby. Once again, guys, actually, sorry for that. There's, I guess, when you're playing in like an online setting, these kind of disconnects can happen. It's really unfortunate when they do, but you just have to play it on, and we have to sort of make the necessary changes when needed. So these guys are going to restart on the final round.
They're looking ready.
Even if it's going to be just one round, and that's going to be it. Ignore the round counter at this stage. If we go into a fresh game, it is going to be the final match point round for both of these players.
Yeah, so we'll see exactly what it is and where it is when it shakes up on the screens. Of course, they'll be the same characters, and it'll just be that one last final deciding round. They were 2-2 before the unfortunate host disconnect came on through. They know, and their opponent already knows, this is actually a key small advantage that they wouldn't have had from the previous rounds, is that the winner of that other game knows he's already in the final, and he can actually watch one of his two opponents here and potentially get one round's extra information on them.
It's going to be more information than other people would be used to. So we're going to be loading in again, and interested to see how this goes. It was hard to call. I would have, if I was a betting man though, I would have said Deluxe after how he made those 2 rounds and was just looking so good.
I've got to be feeling Deluxe here too, to be fair.
But
my
now
limited knowledge.
Now things have been reset. Does Hope have more chance? Because when we went into a fresh set before, it was a very easy 2 rounds to him. And the first blood is going to be scored. And unfortunately, he's just getting even more damage and going back to Lux, just pressing buttons. And this could be almost a perfect, unless he makes another comeback, which just isn't going to happen.
Official Deluxe
That's
is
it.
down and out. We gave him a small leg up. We thought he might have had the advantage because he did pull off that comeback very, very convincingly, and he was good in that last round, unfortunately. But on the replay, it's not quite enough. But gracious in his defeat, he has comfortably left the sofa, and it is Anko, our French hero, our Cinderella story, advancing from the other game as well now into the grand final.
So it's going to be an aggressive Katarina. Okay, first of all.
Our French casters have just realized
I see.
that it's
I
one
can
of their
see.
countrymen to make it here, and they got excited.
I saw Yuki over there popping off as he always does. But I got to admit, I still feel like I'm actually with Yuki. I'm going to be on the side of France.
You can do that now. Our UK player's gone. There's no more national pride here for us as a home crowd. You can stick with your man, Yuki.
But I mean, even in that previous game in the semi-final, we saw another classic example of, I'm going to be a broken record at this point, but you can see why it's so important that when you get hit, you simply have to give up your turn to press a button, block, and then let your opponent be in a situation where now, it's your turn to go in and do something interesting. We have the final 2 players of the Pringles battle couch. It's Hope Hono and it's Anko. It's going to be Italy versus France. 2 countries head-to-head right here, and I feel like Anko is the favorite to win this. He seems to have the biggest understanding of Tekken 7 than any of the players that were in this top 32 bracket. Even if there were players beforehand that knew how to play Tekken 7, it doesn't matter because they just didn't make it to this stage of the tournament.
All right, so, but Hope's strategy, I mean, you've seen it now. You saw 6 rounds of it almost. what is it? Is it all been? Do you think it did all that one button spam on
It's
Katarina?
just constant strings and being very, very, very aggressive. We haven't seen Hope be tested in that way. We haven't seen him fight an opponent that's not afraid to block, be a little bit defensive, and kind of see what happens when now an opponent's, you know, not really being opened up a lot, which means that if you're being all out aggressive and your opponent now starts blocking, you've got to start playing a little bit differently because they're just going to block and then interrupt you and you're dead.
But Anko, from the previous rounds we saw him play, wasn't exactly prone to blocking much himself either.
No, he wasn't really blocking, but he was at least sticking out some really substantial long-range buttons that were catching his opponent advancing. If he does that exact same strategy here in the Grand Finals, there's a good chance that Hope, if he's not aware of this strategy, might accidentally just press buttons right into it. You know, if Anko's sticking out these long-range buttons that exist to catch him pressing as he tries to come in, if he falls victim to it, that's a big knockdown into a pretty substantial chunk of damage by itself.
Right, here's another quick replay segment of that semi-final, so we can analyze Hope's play a little bit more. But I mean, conveniently, actually, in those rounds, he was on the back foot and being knocked down. But there it goes.
The comebacks were made against Hope for the same reason he actually was able to defeat Deluxe. I feel like actually both those players had the exact same kind of game plan. I just felt like Katarina was probably a more dangerous character for that. Maybe Hope was just pressing the right buttons in those situations.
If Deluxe had stayed with his character from the previous round, do you think he would have fared a bit better? Was that character switch potentially down?
Again, it's hard to say because Miguel doesn't have as much range. He has always sort of been one of the characters in Tekken 7 with some of the shortest range. So if you're both playing a game plan when you're both sort of furiously pressing buttons, even if you kind of know what strings you want to do, and when I use the term strings, I mean the built-in combos that exist, you know, the 2-hit combos, 3-hit combos, that's a combo string. If you're both having the same game plan and one character has less range than the other, you're going to be more effective before they get in. You know, if they have to be point blank to be effective against you, you can pretty much keep them at arm's reach, even if you don't mean to. It's just a matchup advantage kind of thing. Whereas I actually feel like Asuka is an entirely different story. She has some really deceivingly long range buttons that exist to catch you trying to run in. You know, her launches and her full combos can catch you trying to advance pretty easily. But before we go into our grand finals, I believe we have an interview ready to go. So take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. So, well, we had 100, that became 50, then 25, then 32 because of Pringles, well, 31 and a bit. I'm still not quite sure what happened. Somebody explained to me afterwards, I'll watch it back. But now we are left with just 2 people. First up, we've got Michele from Italy. You had a bit of a tough semi-final there with the hardware issues. Has that affected your sort of mindset? How much has that affected where you're at with your head?
Sono stati dei problemi tecnici durante la semifinale. Come ti ha fatto sentire?
Devo rispondere in italiano. Sono rimasto un po' allibito, ecco, è strano, non tutto qua. Non mi ha influenzato più di tanto alla fine, è stato comunque, è bello essere qui.
It didn't affect me very much. I was just a bit surprised. I just found it strange, but I'm happy to be here.
Lovely, great. Well, and look, you beat Deluxe. He was the final influencer here, and you got rid of him, so that's a wonderful thing. Of course, Sophia, and you are still here.
Yeah, still.
Cannot be defeated. You must be over the moon.
Yeah.
I've got money on you now, so I could really do with a win here. I've got 10 quid. I haven't really. No, we're not doing gambling. But is there anything you'd like to say to each other before we go back? You are now going to go head to head. One of you, genuinely, there's a £15,000 trip to LA in this. Is there anything you'd like to say to your opponent?
The best of 2 of us have to win, and I'm gonna do everything I can for win, and hope you do the same. For have a great fight in Tekken 7.
That's what we want. We just want a good fight. Is there anything that you'd like to say in response?
Spero che sia uno scontro divertente, alla pari, e che tutti e due, ecco, comunque sia uno scontro competitivo, come dire, divertente. Questo, più che coinciso di così.
I hope the fight is going to be fun and fair, and they will just have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're both very competing. Hopefully the PS4 will hand up. I was going to ask you to shake hands. I didn't need to. You're both lovely. Head back down there. Go and get set up. Best of luck to both of you. And while we're getting ready for the final, guys, it's back to you.
Oh, fighting talk, but also very friendly and nice. I do like these guys. I feel like I would be happy no matter who wins. But I do agree with them is that what I really want is a good fight. I want this to go the distance. I don't want a 3-0 blowout. And I think both of these players are at that level after everything you've said and everything we've seen, where we could see quite an even match.
I feel like in this tournament, I think there is a favorite. Okay, you know,
From some people.
from some people, and by some people I mean me. I feel like we're going to see some Asuka potentially do some work here because I think she, the way he's been playing her is just very efficient against a player that has the style of Katarina. You know, if she's going to try and go in and sort of press crazy buttons, Katarina runs a pretty heavy risk of just walking into the effective countermeasures that Asuka has in place.
Okay.
And it has been a pretty crazy story so far, you know, sort of losing in Rainbow Six after winning the first match and then sort of getting that second life, which is pure luck.
As Steve said, we went from 100 to 50 to 25, back to 32.
Yep, we jumped back up. We did indeed. So as we're setting up what is going to be our final match, for those just joining us, you have been watching the Pringles Battle Couch. We started with 100 players and we just worked our way up the food chain, where now the strongest 2 players of the tournament remain. This should be a good match. Look at the camera. I mean, we're going to bring attention to it all the time because this has been a substantial drop in players, which, believe it or not, was the idea. So Hope Ono versus...
Well, yeah, the idea was we would build the Pringles Battle Couch, wow, that was harder said than I thought, to bring players from across Europe all together and to bring them all into a NIS-friendly environment to play some games together, and then to beat each other down and whittle them down and split them up to one, which is where we're at. We're down to Hope versus Anko for that final single prize.
We're in a position now, though, where Hope and Anko together is 2 different territories, so there's no way at all they would have been on the same team, at least. Nope. So no more team kills, no more friends become your enemies kind of situation. It's just going to be 2 players head-to-head with no background, and only one of these players is going to take the prize, which was a year's supply of Pringles, a £15,000 worth trip to LA, including some E3 tickets, the Golden Pringle Trophy, and a limited edition Tekken 7 statue. That's a lot to take away for one day.
Yeah, but ultimately, as remember, the Golden Pringles. That's the real grand prize here. That's what we're ultimately vying for, I think, in all parts. The trip's one thing. LA is all right. It's, you know, take it or leave it. But that Golden Pringle is a one-of-a-kind in the world. And only one person gets it.
I do wonder, for like definitely though, like we talk about sort of like players having their first tournaments and stuff like that. Even though Anko says he plays a lot of Tekken 7, could this, in theory, I don't know about his background, so forgive the ignorance here just in case. But if Anko likes Tekken 7 and plays it a lot, maybe he's not actually played competitive much. Maybe this was his first tournament. For all we know, this might be like his first step into a competitive fighting game environment.
I would like to.
And if he wins this today,
what a kind of story.
And he gets a taste for it, maybe we'll see Anko in some more tournaments. You know, maybe he'll sort of like hit up the French community and find out where they play and where they grind and get involved. And this time next year, he's like 10 times the skill level, because the second you get involved in local communities, like all of our commentators that are doing Tekken, you know, they're all in a very small world. You know, the Tekken community, especially in Europe, is a very tight-knit community that just loves to play the game, loves people that support the game, and they all go to tournaments, compete in Tekken World Tour, and they have a good bloody time. But it's going to be grand finals right now. It's going to be Hope Ono versus Anko, Katarina versus Asuka. And this is a dangerous stage, Suk. Actually, I think they're both two
dangerous
characters.
or bad?
It's a very wall-heavy stage, absolutely. And both of these characters benefit from wall damage pretty significantly. We haven't really seen Hope Ono do any wall combos, but we have seen Anko give it a try, which I think demonstrates a little bit of the supreme knowledge. But it's all coming down to one final game. France versus Italy, Asuka versus Katarina on one of the highest damage output stages in the game. Let's go. Immediately tagged by that low, and the damage is going to be real almost instantly. Waits for the whiff punish, and that's the thing.
Oh, the
can-cans are going to do so much damage if you refuse to block, and Hope Ono gets perfected. 7 golden letters. You gotta block, mate.
Oh, it's not a good start, and it's immediately followed up by another immediate big hitting for Anko. Juggles him again, and he's just not giving him an opening, but he finally takes some damage. Could this be a chance for Homer to string it? Not if Anko's got anything to say about it.
He shakes his head. He knows it was a bad choice. There's the grab, trips him up, and just like that, 2 rounds have been done. And the whole thing is coming from the fact that Hope Ono has not really been blocking. Unfortunately, by the time he's now blocking, no, he gets hit by the can-cans again! And we should get a wall ender. Tries to go for a bit more damage. This is really looking like all she wrote. Are we going to see 2 perfect? Oh. We see a perfect again, and there it is. That is that.
That's a tough way to go. Double perfect, our first of the entire Tekken stage, and it's 2 in the grand final. The players having a moment to refresh it up, to breathe it out.
Well, I believe, judging by their body language, I do believe this is a 2 out of 3 grand finals.
I think it might be, yeah. Looking from the way these guys are going. We weren't sure, our rundown gave us extra time for the final than the other games, but we didn't have a complete confirmation on whether they were actually playing that extra round or not. But no one is as excited as I'd expect them to be, having won that grand prize.
I'm going to put myself on a pedestal. That still looks like the eyes of a man that's very focused. That looks like the eyes of a man whose tournament is not over. In online lobby, though, we do have to go straight back into the stage select and character select. Losing a match, though, does mean that Hope Ono, if he doesn't believe in how that match went, he now has the option to change character if he wants. I will admit, I think he's probably going to stick with Katarina.
Should do.
But ultimately, what happened there? We've been talking on like droves for how important it is to block when you take damage. That combo string that ends in a big launcher for the huge damage output from Asuka, that combo does not connect by itself. It only works if the opponent is not blocking the entire thing, but you can block halfway, which was why, after getting hit, Hope was able to block halfway through the string and actually fight back. Unfortunately, by the time he started blocking, he was already 1.5 rounds down, and that's not a lot of time to factor in when there's not a lot of games to play with.
But now, because there is an extra chance in this as opposed to the previous stages, maybe he's learned to block from the beginning of this one. Maybe this is his comeback here and takes this to a 1-1 series instead of going down straight away 2-0.
I mean, that Ango looks more focused than I think I've seen a lot of players in a long time.
Yeah, and
focused.
We know why, right? We interviewed him, Steve asked him, and he's like, he knows that if he puts himself on too much of a pedestal, if he gets himself too excited, he could still fall down at any minute. If he gets too in his own head and overthinks things, he could hurt himself. And so he's keeping focused and he's keeping steady. And we saw him in the lobby first, headset on first. He's got that little gentle rocking motion on Gala. Leg taps sort of still there, but he is on the controller and ready to go for what could be one final round, one final bout of Tekken 7 to win the prize.
Okay, now we actually are on a new stage. Infinite Azure 2 was added with the update that hit today. Infinite Azure, though, as the title suggests, an infinite stage. There are no walls here, which means that generally, a lot of the rounds that went down, Anko put Hope against the wall, and that limits your defensive options. You can't really move around. On an infinite stage, almost every hit you take sends you far away, back to what we call the neutral. That game where you can play starts with the low again, and Hope falls victim to it for another time. The low has been pretty pan there from Anko, but the can connects. But finally, Hope is blocking on hit. Doesn't block this time, though, and that's where the damage comes from. And he's getting caught by the string over and over again. The 1+2 to finish. This is looking just as one-sided.
Did have that block on him though, but the opener is exactly the same again for Anko, and Hope does not seem to be learning that it's coming his way, and he's following it up with another big juggle, and after the corkscrew, yes, the rage art is up. Is he even going to have a chance to use it? He does have a moment, but he does start to land some normal attacks, but Hope quickly shut down by Anko with that same low again.
And that's going to be tournament point for Anko. He's 1 round away from just utter destruction in his path the entire time this man came to play Tekken, and so far he has. I actually wonder what he's doing, lifting his hand up.
I think he's given this round. I think he knows he started this off poorly, and Hope had a bit of a rhythm going. He says, all right, I'll sacrifice this. I'll start again on round 4 because he has that buffer. And I made it the right call because it started off fantastically.
All right, there's the finish. Gets the final hit. It's not going to extend the combo any longer, but it's going to do some damn good damage to finish things up. Goes in for the grab, but a grab against a very button-happy opponent is very risky business. He can't freeze up here. Challenges it, but finally we see the block, and he gets the punish as well. And now he's starting to fight back. I wonder that Anko is getting caught here. Hang on a minute. He lifts his hand. Is this match over? I think our camera is late. Oh, it's the rage! That's why he stood up, because he knew it would connect. He powers through. He wins the Pringles battle couch, and it's Anko going to America.
From the number 2 spot out of 100 players, with the help of a Pringles pass halfway on the way, he does have his congratulatory organizers to help out, and that is one happy Frenchman. And those are 2 happy Frenchmen on their casting booth over there too. Very, very proud of the countrymen.
We started with 100 players, and we worked our way down bit by bit, and now it's going to be Anko from France, the man of the hour and the champion of Tekken 7. He's going to win the battle couch. And just like that, he's going to be the champion of the day. And he just played Tekken 7 better than everyone else.
And yeah, I can't get over the fact that he was saved by the Pringles pass.
It's a Cinderella story, isn't it?
Given
You
that
can't
chance
make that up.
to prove himself again after not having a great run on Rainbow Six, not having the best second game. They won the first one, but not having the best second game. Pringles pass saved him. He said he was here for Tekken. He practiced Tekken. He was ready for Tekken, and he was right.
You know what? I'm not just saying this because he won, but I just knew that he was going to win the moment he celebrated getting the second chance. The moment he popped off after getting the second
we
chance.
saw everyone that got their second chance. There were some smiles, there was some happiness, but no one was quite as excited about it as Zanko, and it was clear that that was his plan. His plan was get to Tekken, and then he had it in the bag. He was confident from his position there. He was heartbroken after losing that second game of Rainbow Six, but given that chance again from the Pringles can, all worth it.
You saw how much the second chance meant to him, and I think it's because he in his own heart knew that he had a very good chance of doing well today. Whether he truly believed he had what it took to win, I don't know. Whenever you go to a tournament and you're not particularly seasoned, you never really go into an event expecting to win anything, but as he got closer and closer, you could see it in his general body language. It was starting to mean more and more. It became a lot more real, and now when he's going to hold the golden Pringle in his hands, I think it's going to feel pretty real to him now.
I'm going to look forward to that ceremony, and of course Steve will have him for a second, I'm sure, to present that and give him all those prizes and give him that golden Pringle, because it's got to feel good to have that in your hands after sitting there at one end of that sofa, winning, looking to his left and seeing how empty, seeing where he came.
I am the man.
He sat in exactly the same pot. He won from the same seat he started the tournament. In that number 2 slot, there was one player on his right, and he stays there on the left and wins it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to Steve on the stage. That is your winner, and thank you very much for joining us here tonight.
There we go. It's all done. The golden Pringle. I'm about to hand it to a man that I met at the beginning of the evening. I can't believe it's played out like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Sophian, get yourself up here, man. Officially the best person in Europe at video games. I believe that is what we've established this evening. Incredible first round of Rainbow Six. It's a beautiful thing. Bit of luck on the Pringles pass, but then absolutely crushing it on Tekken. Mate, can I cuddle you? I feel like I want to cuddle you. It was a beautiful thing.
You bet on me.
I bet on you.
You bet on me and I win.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. How do you feel? Describe to me.
I'm gonna crying.
Don't cry.
I gonna die. My heart beats. It's so cool. It's amazing. It's a great opportunity for me. And thankful for every people doing that. And I don't have the words. I can't speak.
You are absolutely adorable, and I am very glad you won. So look, obviously you've got the golden Pringle. Don't touch it yet. Save that moment. But just to remind you, all the things you've got that incredible Tekken figurine. You've got 2 tickets to ESL 1 in Birmingham in May. Yeah, you can pick it up. It's yours, mate. You own it. You can have it. Do what you want with it. You can do anything you want. That is now yours. Of course, you've got 2 tickets to E3 in Los Angeles worth £15,000, lest we forget, and a year's supply of Pringles. What's your favourite flavour?
For the Pringles, it's onions.
Onions. So we'll get some onion Pringles, please. I think it's 52 cans. You get 1 a week. Is that enough?
Oh yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
it sounds like a lot. That's plenty. Absolutely. So, well, look, I'm going to give you a moment with your friends. I think, Mr. Pringles, you're going to bring the friends up and have a little cuddle. All of your other nation friends. Up you come. Don't be shy, Mr. Pringle. Mr. Pringle's here. You now think I'm making that up. I don't know. He's hiding. Are you shy, Mr. Pringle? No, he's on his way. He's on his way. Look, what? You have a chat with your friends and celebrate, as you quite rightly should. All that's left for me to say is, of course, thank you to Pringles, who've brought gamers together on the world's first, maybe last, no, we'll be back next year, 100-seater sofa, the Pringles Gaming Couch, in partnership with PlayStation. All we need you to do now is lift that trophy aloft, as I say, congratulations to the 2019 Pringles Battle Couch champion! It's a beautiful thing.